An alarming number of fires are ravaging much of California. Many have had to evacuate. If you're in the West and have room to spare, contact Bridget O'Connor, our Kingdom Emergency Response Spreadsheet-wielding Coordination Officer. You can find her at facebook.com/West Kingdom. Leave a note there and she'll be sure to get with you and get your information. And thank you for all the help that you can give.
Good evening and welcome to Between Two Peers. Tonight we're starting off slightly differently. Tonight I will ask everybody to charge their glasses and raise them as we have lost a powerful woman. This is to RGB. Thank you for everything that you did, for the barriers you broke, and how much you protected this nation. And with that, on to the show.
All right. Welcome to Between Two Peers. As you all well know by now, we are a live stream show where the hosts have guests from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. So this week, we are sponsored by the Boulevardier, which is a classy as fuck cocktail, I have to admit. So mad props there. Since we can have everything but the orange, and Scott's really good at making them. You're going to find out more about Scott in a minute. I'm Tulia Alori, aka Mistress Sassy Seamstress, and I have been a West Kingdom Laurel for 8 years now. I've been in the SCA for 27 years, and I show no signs of quitting, so I think you all stuck with me. And with that, I'd like to introduce my lovely co-host, Helga, aka Sir Danger Muppet.
I am Helga, or Sir Danger Muppet. I am a knight, a pelican, and a royal peer in the West Kingdom. And I have officially been doing this way over half my life. So I have a feeling I'm sticking around just like Sassy. Also, who else is going to keep Sassy in line? Or who's going to keep me in line? I'm not sure about that one.
I mean, we kind of feed each other's, shenaniganry, so.
Pretty much. Are we getting in trouble? The two of us are probably together.
Yes.
So, with that, I would love to introduce our wonderful guest tonight, Dobroshka, otherwise known as Maggie the Potter. Would you like to do an intro?
I would like to start by telling my husband who's watching in the bathtub to turn his volume down.
Turn it down, Scott!
I am Dobroshka, otherwise known as Maggie the Potter. I've been in the SCA since 2001. Oh, oops.
Everyone hold your Maggie mug up.
Oh, I thought I said something that I had to drink for.
No.
So I've been doing this since 2001. I started in Detroit, Michigan with a wonderful barony called Roaring Wastes. Lots of you know Duke Braunus, and Duchess Rebecca. They kind of ushered me in along with a few other heavy hitters over there. I went on to move to Cleflands in Cleveland, Ohio for quite a while. And then I met Scott and he dragged me off to Germany where I lived for about 8 years before we decided to come back here. Now we're in Atlantia.
Nice.
And
go
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to roll into the drinking game.
I was just going to mention, Feed the Ravens. So we featured
our shop.
This is just a shameless plug. It's one half of my show, so I get to do that. But Feed the Ravens, of course, is the shop that Dobroshka and Scott run, and they sell all manner of really cool, Viking and early period paraphernalia, including the beautiful mugs. And you can usually find them at a large war near you. in normal times. But other than that,
In normal time.
these are not normal times. But you have some good news, right? About
I
website?
do.
Okay.
So we've never ever before sold my pottery online, except just a handful of times over Facebook. But a good friend of ours, who also is a Pennsic friend, helped us to build a website, and so we're going to be opening our website this Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's feedtheravens.com. It's going to be great.
Cannot wait.
I'm super excited.
Me too.
Very excited.
It
All
looks
right.
really good. Thanks to Crystal Cornell. She's been amazing.
I actually signed up because the splash page was so good. I was like, oh, well, I am putting my email address in for updates.
Yeah. We don't have the full booth up there. That's just was too much for us to handle. So it's mainly pottery and then a few other special kind of one of a kind or really special handmade items.
We'll make sure to update the YouTube description to have that in there, so that link is live for everybody watching. So with that, we're gonna roll into the drinking game. That way we know when we're getting punished.
Okay.
So drink whenever a host or guest uses a non-SCA name when referring to somebody else in the show. Drink when somebody says "before I was a peer," "in my kingdom," or "when I last reigned." That's really the rule to screw me.
Almost none of those apply to me.
But we all drink together, so if anybody breaks a rule, we all drink.
Okay.
When somebody calls for a soapbox, or when somebody uses the term spite sprinkles. So, with that, we're going to roll right into the questions.
All right. So our very first question is from Anonymous. Does Dobroshka know that she's one of the cool kids of Pennsic? People want to be in association with her and Scott. I don't know who sent that in, but I find that accurate.
Does everybody know that I'm the biggest dork?
Well, that's why we like you.
I'm that person that like goes into the back of Vlad's and like stands around waiting for somebody to notice me.
That's how I feel most.
Oh, Scott's screaming from the bathroom. You called me Scott instead of Farulf. You have to drink.
He has it. He's not Scott in the SC.
He's actually, and you can ask your boyfriend, which I think also gets a drink. His SCA name is Farulf Hepney.
It means no idea.
Travel Wolf the Lucky.
Oh, that's lovely. I knew that. No idea that was a thing. Well, I will definitely have to like mentally readjust.
Yeah, I know. Everybody calls him Scott. A couple of people, mostly from the West and Aidenville, do call him Farwolf when we're at Estrella and West events. Take a big drink.
I think anytime Farulf chimes in from
the bathtub,
we're gonna have to drink.
I approve of this rule.
This is gonna be a long show.
All right. Well, that answers it.
No, I don't know that I'm one of the. To answer the question, no, I don't know that I'm one of the cool kids. I almost never know that. I always feel like an outsider, and so if you see me standing around, I definitely need a friend to go into the party with me.
I'm pretty sure that's actually how we became friends. Is I was awkwardly standing around, and you awkwardly stood next to me, and we just awkwarded for a moment. We're like, "Oh, okay, cool. We're cool. This is great. Yay!
Let's go in."
I want to mention, I just got a text message from Thorfinn that says, I knew his name. Like, why didn't you ever tell me?
Oh, geez.
Oh, he's such a ding dong. Anyway,
So
next question. Yeah.
I didn't study this show, by the way, so everybody's gonna get some real weird answers out of me. So This one comes from Amy. If you could meet one person to spend the day with, who would it be? They can be dead or alive.
Dobroshka.
Oh, by the way, you get to answer all the questions first. I forgot to give you that.
Unless you say you don't want to, unless you need more time. So.
I mean, in this very moment right now, I would have to say RBG because I'd like her to still be alive. But
Same.
and I have a lot of questions.
How did
Other than that, I would actually really love to meet my great grandmother. She was super feminist. The last time I saw her, I was about 7 years old. She was a silent pictures movie actress, and she broke a lot of rules. She was super big into illegal alcohol during the Prohibition, and she dressed as a boy to go golfing with my great-grandfather because women were not allowed worse.
I want to hang out with your great grandma too.
She's amazing. She was a Spitfire, and a lot of people in our family said that I took after her. And I would love to meet her as an adult today and get to know her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I think that would be my answer too. She sounds rad. I would actually say one person to spend a day with. Probably go with Oscar Wilde, because he's got to be like everything I want to be, what I'd like to think of myself in terms of being witty and kind of off the cuff and very droll. And I'm none of those things in reality, but I can only imagine that he must have been a hoot to hang out with. So I would have to say Oscar Wilde.
Should I sit far away from my laptop so there's not such a horrible echo or whatever?
I think you're fine.
Yeah, you seem to be fine. We've got a little bit of an echo, but
I'll sit back here.
Welcome to Tech on a Live show.
Okay, I just saw the questions popping up. I normally wear glasses, so if a little question pops up and it's aimed at me, you guys have to read it to me because I can't.
We'll pull them. So if anything comes up during the show in the text, in live questions, we pull them, and at the end, if we have extra time, we'll cherry pick a couple.
Okay, sweet.
And so people are more than welcome to always submit questions during the show. We tend to gather them up depending on our time.
I'll have to read all the comments later, unfortunately.
Some of them are super fun, by the way.
Actually, normally I'm in the bathtub watching this show.
You've sent us so many texts about that.
That's so sad.
That's awesome.
My answer. So you should never meet your heroes or those you go to emulate from history. But realistically, if I could get rid of the sexism and the language barrier, I would totally sit down for a day with Salahuddin and discuss some of his philosophy and some of the ways that he continued to see people even through war. Some of his writings are really, really cool. And so if I could just bamf myself there with all the information to be treated totally as an equal and no language barrier, 100% would sit down and have a discussion with that man all day long. So, but I'm also geeking out on him right now too, so.
Yeah. He seems like he would be a really interesting person to just be near. Yeah. Just to soak it up. All right. Next question. So this is it's kind of it's not really a two-parter, but one is directed kind of more at you, Dobroshka, and the other is sort of reworked so Helga and I can answer it. So to you work openly to make your booth a safe place free from hate, since Viking culture has been appropriated by right-wing / neo-Nazi groups. Would you talk about some of the things you're doing to promote this safe space?
That's been a real challenge for us, actually. And for us, it didn't start recently. It started in 2016 when we noticed that people were just more aggressively feeling super comfortable being nasty to other people. So, and the other thing that we noticed starting around 2016 was because Scott has a lot of Norse tattoos. Especially, he has his dog's name tattooed on his wrist, and on his other wrist, he has his fighting group from Copenhagen tattooed on his wrist, and their runes. And we started to notice something that had never really happened before. We would be in public somewhere, and if there were Black people around, they would just start to look at Scott really warily, or just And he was really hurt by that. and really felt really terrible that someone would see him and associate him with sort of right-wing neo-Nazis and that movement in America. And so we thought about it for a really long time, what we could possibly do. And we tend to be really friendly and open in the booth anyway. I would say that most people actually feel really comfortable in our tent. But it turned out there were a lot of people who were afraid to even come in. And so Scott found that out. And at the same time, around the same time, we went to a Viking reenactment market that was not SCA related in America somewhere. I won't say where. And there were several very tattooed with lots of swastikas and had swastikas all over their kits, and inappropriate for like totally not historical ways. So not even like there wasn't any excuse for it other than they were making a statement. And so they were just coming in our booth and spouting off nonsense that we didn't want to hear, and we tossed them out. And when we got home, Scott set about hand stitching this big banner. I mean, it's not huge, but it's decent size, of hand cut out leather, hand stitched to this hand woven linen cloth. And it's basically a big black swastika with a big red fucking X through it.
Yeah.
And we hung it proudly in booth. And what was really surprising to us was we felt it necessary to check with merchant coordinators to see if we were going to catch flack for that. And you would be surprised, but at first we had to convince them that there was a good reason that we needed it.
Wow.
Yeah. And people that you would be surprised about. So, but people just were uncomfortable shaking things up. They didn't want to broach the subject within the SCA.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a couple years ago. So we decided that we couldn't go to an event if we couldn't hang that in our booth. And so we did it. And immediately a lot of people came in and said that once they saw that, they understood that we weren't a part of that system and that they felt much safer and much more comfortable in the booth. I mean, it's loud, it's garish, it's meant to be obnoxious. We had people at Pennsic come up to us and say things like, "What is that about?" You know, and give us shit for it. And, you know, our answer after a good friend sort of chimed in always was the same. She said it best when she said, "Does it stutter?"
Yeah.
If you have a problem with it, there's the door.
Yeah.
Period. So, but we really didn't realize that there were so many people that were wary of our booth simply because we were doing selling Viking stuff, and really Viking age studies, not just in Scandinavia but all over Slavic lands and Baltic countries is what we specialize in. That's our passion. We love it. We have a lot of passion for the history of that time period. And we don't want to see it usurped and bastardized by not nice or evil people. Yeah.
We got to fight to take that back. And it's really not just Viking culture. It's kind of a problem, a systemic problem throughout all forms of medieval reenactment. We can't just sit by and let
I just don't think that you can. I mean, you know, they got one symbol.
Mm-hmm.
They can have that, but I don't think it's really smart or prudent to allow them to take over symbol after symbol after symbol after symbol, because that's how they signal to each other. That's how they're like, yeah, bro, you know. And I think they need to be made uncomfortable. If you support white supremacy, you need to be made uncomfortable. That is a problem that tried to rear its ugly head in Viking reenactment in Europe several years ago, and it was stomped out vehemently and physically. Punch a Nazi was nothing new to me. I heard lots and lots of stories about people being physically removed from Viking markets because of what they were wearing. and there was zero tolerance for white supremacists at our Viking markets. And if there was a Viking market that we were invited to and we found out that those other guys were invited, we didn't go. And a lot of our friends made that decision together. We just kind of boycotted those events.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So
is that a soapbox?
No,
it was good.
This is probably gonna be a soapbox, so prepare to drink. Also, you did drop your man's real name.
So everybody
Carl.
So I'm gonna say my approach within the SCA, because I'll talk about it within the SCA context, is a little bit punk rock. I very much so. If anybody knows the punk rock scene history, there was an appropriation of that culture at one point by the skinheads. And what ended up happening is the bars that tried to remain neutral became Nazi territory, because when you tolerate a Nazi at your bar, it's going to bring more fucking Nazis in. And so I'm very much the punk rock mentality of I'd rather be in a fist fight and arrested at an event, or possibly R&D'd. If I find out somebody is of that ilk, fuck them. They can leave. And I will happily put my body in the way to make sure that they are gone. When it comes to online content, I believe that when it comes to the Viking, Viking in quotes, because Viking is not actually a culture, it's a job description. So when it comes to the Norse, then like basically kind of that neo-Nazi Norse takeover bullshit, is making sure that people are educated that there's a ton of mixed race graves. There is this whole idea that, the Slavic cultures were white, blonde hair, blue eyed is false. They traveled and they stayed. And so there is no, that idea that it's the one true culture is
it's stupid.
It's the dumbest
You've never read a book, basically, because the actual guys that went a Viking, they integrated almost instantaneously if they decided to stay somewhere. But they also, there were interracial couples.
Yep.
There were, they integrated with whatever culture they were settling with.
They were one of the most ultimate chameleons of culture. It's
right.
Because they traveled so much that it was consuming of culture, and wherever they landed, they picked it up, or they took some of it back home. And so it's one of the things that I try to make sure that there's educational resources out there that starts to break those myths. That really talks a lot about we have this idealized, very whitewashed Norse culture, which is a jerk off bullshit story that was written about it. And so I'm trying to make sure that when asked and when that comes up, I can just be like, hey bud, you're wrong, motherfucker.
One of the things we did right off the bat with our booth in Europe and in the States was I would make and show Islamic pottery of the 10th century, because Slavs and Scandinavians treasured that pottery. The most famous little, it has a handle cup in Gotland is Islamic.
Mm-hmm.
And most Scandinavians don't know that until you tell them.
They released all the digs with the Islamic coins and the rings.
Yeah, there's a lot of Islamic coins.
So that's really kind of I'm willing to physically put myself down on the GTFO, get the fuck out, but also I'm willing to academically go at it a little bit of the whitewashed idea is wrong, and if we can reclaim it that way, if we can break the jerk off idea about it, they'll leave it alone, because the culture isn't what they think it is. And so it's one of the best ways to reclaim culture is through education.
Yep. And barring that, just kicking some ass.
Yep. Go punk rock it. Seriously, be that punk rock star that said "fuck you, Nazis."
Yep. And that's kind of the second part of the question, which is directly for Helga and I, which since because the first part of the question was more focused on how you have been dealing with it in the context of your booth, and also with your experience in European reenactment. But how do we do that in the SCA, and how do we make the SCA not hospitable to Nazi or white supremacist ideology? And I will say I've actually been at an event where an actual literal neo-Nazi wandered in, because they saw someone's banner flying that looked vaguely swastika-ish and thought, hey, these people look like my kind of people. And so he came in and started asking questions and, just like absolutely signaling the neo-Nazi scum of the earth kind of like tattoos all over and just awful, scummy person. But he was like pointing at the banner and being like, well, you guys have a swastika over there. And that was when I first learned that people don't differentiate between really well between what is a swastika-ish design and a swastika. And they see it and they think, oh, that's a swastika. So I, up until that point, had always been like, well, it's not really a swastika. It's a Phill flot, or it's a sun wheel, or it's a thing. But then, and then a real neo-Nazi wandered in and said, well, you've got a swastika flying so clearly. And people just rose right the fuck up and literally bodily threw him out of the event. And it was done quietly enough that it didn't attract that many spectators. But I was one of the people that saw it happen because I was head of court at the time. And so I was one of the first line of defense. It wasn't during your reign.
No, it's fine. I just have a hill I'll die on.
Yeah, but it was a huge education for me that this is something that the outside world looks in and sees something that may not at all be what we think it is. So we have to be really, really, I think, protective of the symbolism of some of these things that are already gone, already appropriated. They've already have like a bad taste. So we got to protect ourselves from that and not try to be like, oh, we're reclaiming it. No, it's gone. It's done. Fucking
not with the swastika.
Yeah, the swastika
doesn't matter which way it's facing.
That was going to be my one thing.
If the neo-Nazi sees a some kind of thing and says it's a swastika, imagine how a Jewish person or a Black person feels when they see it.
That was a big thing, a big argument. And this was another. This predates the Trimgate thing that happened back in 2018. This predates that by several years actually, and it had been in specifically my Jewish friends had always kind of had this like little side eye about this particular symbol, and that was being defended as being, well, it's not a swastika. But it was definitely this like, that's just not, I'm not really comfortable with it. And we weren't listening to that at the time at all. Things had to get so bad before we finally heard that. And I think
I wasn't listening either at first. Yeah. I mean, I've got loads of Lithuanian friends who, in Lithuania and other Baltic countries, different types of swastikas are very, very important in their, not just culture, but their religious culture. It's a symbol for the cross for them, and it doesn't mean the same thing for them as it does for other people, and they're unwilling to give it up. And on the other hand, everyone in Lithuania is also desensitized to it because it's everywhere, and nobody goes there and thinks, oh my God, all Lithuanians are Nazis. Just like you wouldn't walk into a Native American tribe and say all these people are Nazis because they have this swastika on their stuff.
Most Native American tribes actually got rid of it, though.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
So actually, I have a weird hill I'm going to die on this one, and so please bear with me for a moment on the swastika versus fly pot and like all the different versions. As Americans, as white as fuck Americans, that is a symbol we do not get to reclaim. We have very little religious significance to it. In America, it has a very bad connotation. And so, want to know what? That symbol is claimed. I'm good with never touching it or anything around it. I have no religious significance to it or anything else like that. And so me using it, one, is appropriation if I'm after it for like one of the other, if I'm using one of the other fucking excuses, sorry, that's appropriation. If I'm using it for any other excuse, in my mind, I'm a fucking jackass.
I just see it as if it makes someone feel terrible, get rid of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean,
we could probably sit on this rabbit hole for a very long time. Do we want to move to the next question?
I think we should move to the next question. Since I actually messed up the question order, I'm going to just throw this out to Helga. Which one do you want to do next?
We should do Kunhild's question, the one that we skipped, because it's a really good one.
Do you want to do Kunhild's?
Yeah, I'll do Kunhild's, and then we can it'll jump us right back down to the normal order.
Perfect.
So our next question comes from Kunhild. It was actually supposed to happen before this question, but somebody got excited.
Somebody's a ding-dong.
So
just saw her name sitting there and was like, oh, I'll read that.
So Kunhild asks, is there an artistic analog to Pell practice? Some artists can do regularly, something artists can do regularly. That word, I don't know why, screws me up all the time. That isn't necessary making big projects, but does help, help at home and refine, hone and refine skills. So do you have any specific practices like this?
Yeah, I do. I saw that question. I thought about that a lot. At first, I was thinking like, you mean like art calisthenics, but when I went to art school, the first thing that we did that was like that was basically draw all the time. Even though I'm a 3D artist and I make objects, the first thing I start with all the time is drawing. When I'm trying to decide, how am I going to change this historical piece to be my own, I'm drawing it 8 ways to Sunday. And when I have ideas, I'm sketching them out all the time. And when I was in school, that was the thing that they taught us, that this is the exercise for your brain. This is your muscle memory that you have to develop. So for artists, drawing is really a big deal. It helps you flesh out your ideas. It helps you decide what you're going to do next. It kind of gets rid of the bad ideas first as you see it kind of and realize, ooh, maybe not, and it gets your juices flowing too. So I would say for me, the thing that would be like the most like Pell practice would be drawing all the time, even if they're really bad.
Kind of, especially if they're really bad. I mean,
on my sketches, you can't tell what the hell is going on, but I know it's like my own private language of like, I know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I'm a visual person. That's why I use a Mac and not a PC. I'm allergic to PCs, actually, completely.
Mac people unite. I'm a Mac.
I mean, look, there weren't any computers in my high school, and my first computer was an Amiga, so suck it.
Yeah, I remember those, actually.
At least somebody does.
Yeah, I do, actually. I really remember very well, actually. I had a friend who had one. I had a weird old Tandy. It was a Tandy. No, actually, the first one was an Epson. It was an Epson Equity 3 or something like that. It was my very first computer. And I'll be damned if I even know if those things even exist anymore.
Amiga 1000.
And then there was the Tandy, whatever the Tandy was. I can't remember now. But anyway, I went to a poshy private school for like the first 3 years of my education. And we had an Apple Lab in 1983. Yeah, it was when I started in kindergarten. So he had Oregon Trail very early on.
That's very posh.
Yeah, it was pretty poshy. It didn't last long, but I went straight into private school or a public school like immediately because I think it was way too expensive. But yeah, so good question, Kunhild. I would say my answer, because I also went to design school, and they did very much like impress upon us that we had to always be drawing or sketching or playing with pieces of paper in some form or another, usually color swatches or just dreaming up mood boards in a lot of cut and paste, a lot of like cutting out of magazines and gluing them on boards and things like that, which drove me crazy because I hate glue. I hate sticky stuff on my fingers. It's gross. So I really struggled in design school because it's all mood boards. When you're in like clothing and textile design, everything is being cut out of a magazine and pasted on something else, and I hated that. But it helped a lot. It really does. It keeps the the creativity engaged. It keeps your creative brain flowing, and it is surprisingly very helpful and cathartic even when you're in a spot where, because I also do a 3D art form, clothing, and it's I can think of these things in 3D, but sometimes it's something that's so technical that you have to actually draw it out pattern piece by pattern piece by pattern piece to be able to make it make sense logically. And so that's invaluable. Little pieces of paper and lots of like glue.
Can I tell you guys a secret before Helga goes?
Yeah.
All through like elementary school and high school, the one thing that I couldn't stand about art was clay. I couldn't stand it. The way that it felt when it dried on your fingers and like
under your fingernails,
and it like dried on you, it was like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Well, how did you overcome that? Then how did you become?
No fucking idea. So I got up late for registration during our when you like get to try an elective to see what major you're going into. I was like the slackeriest slacker, and I woke up late and the glass department was full and the metal department was full, and I was like, fuck. So I took ceramics, and I was really good at it without really trying. So,
I hated sewing. I hated sewing until suddenly I loved it, and suddenly I couldn't stop it.
Yeah. When you're like suddenly good at something, you're like, oh,
well, then this is good. Yeah. All right, Helga, what's your answer?
So I'm a bad artist, okay? And just hear me out. It took me years to learn how to sketch. And be okay with like the play of it not being perfect, which is the reason why my art skills aren't as developed as they could be, is because it was either perfect or it was shit, and I didn't learn that there was a gray area in between. And a lot of my high school friends were very good artists. They could pick up anything and just turn it into beauty, and I was just like, motherfuckers. And so what I would say is learn the best analog to learning any art, is learning to play and make mistakes, and then be able to pull those mistakes, like change those mistakes or adapt from those mistakes. But you have to be willing to make mistakes to actually get better. You have to be willing to rip out a seam to understand how to ease in fabric. You have to be willing to erase a hand 1,000,000 times because you're staring at it while you're trying to draw it, and then like it's just the dumbest thing ever. But you need to be able to play. And so the analog that I'll tell you is find something you're actually not terribly good at and play with the idea. Learn how to do pleats. Learn how to do box pleats. Learn how to do the damn little rolled pleats that are the devil.
Oh, those are actually really easy if you stop thinking about them.
Yeah, when you stop thinking about them. You want to watch me do those?
Yeah. You can't think about them. You can use
but like learning how to do those things puts your brain back into play mode, and then you are firing way more synapses to actually learn what you're doing and become better at what you're doing. If you're trying to do it perfectly, your brain is very narrow, and you're working on synapses that are driven into your brain. So you're not actually going to get any better until you get back into the other mode. So find whatever best way it is for you to play.
And it's interesting because I'm reading Carius's, he has a little text that pops up that only we can see. It says, humans do not exit the womb able to draw. And that is a very good point. We have to learn.
Anybody can learn. Anyone can learn to draw.
Exactly. Some people
you just need more practice than other people. That's all.
Some people are freaks and have an innate drawing ability. I'm going to talk about, like Da Vinci or something like that, like innate. And is super, super amazingly good at it. And there are people that are like that. But most of the rest of us have to practice it. And one of the best ways, and this is something that I hear people always either poo-pooing or apologizing for, is copying. And, when you're a Renaissance artist in the 16th century, and your parents are wealthy enough to send you off on a grand tour of Italy, you take a sketch pad with you. Well, it's something like a sketch pad. And you learn by copying the greats. You learn by tracing things. You learn by, it's what it is, it's getting your hand-eye coordination to sync up. And the more you practice that, the more you trace, the more you quote unquote copy, the better you get. And the easier it becomes for you to just do it yourself without having to actually trace it. I taught art for a long time. And that was my number one thing. I actually started all of my like new art students who had never really done art before. And I worked with like really low income young adults. And it was very much like they had this like creative need, this real drive to be creative, but they would never sure how to apply it. And they thought that they had to just be good at it before they could do it. And so I would start them off with tracing projects. It would literally be like, we're just going to trace, and we're going to, keep doing the circle. We're going to trace the circle and trace the circle and trace the circle. And then we're going to try drawing the circle without tracing it. And then it just built from there. And you'd get, by the end of the semester, it would become, they weren't going to be Michelangelo that early on, but there was absolutely a progression of, they were not sure of themselves in the beginning. And then at the very end of it, they're creating their own designs on paper. And it was wonderful. It was like super empowering. Every single time I loved teaching that class, that, beginning drawing class. It's when they get better and more knowledgeable, then they're more pains in the asses. And then it's like, it's not as fun because they already know everything.
I will say that kids are more adventurous and easy than adults. Like the younger the child, the more fearless they are about trying stuff. Like some of the best students I've ever had when I've been teaching throwing on the pottery wheel have been little kids. Because the adult is just so freaked out that they're going to make an ashtray. And the kid is like, holy shit, I made a blob. Awesome.
Remember how excited you were when you made the Play-Doh snakes? Like you could just feel it, and it's all tactile and it's all fun to touch. And and that joy gets kind of beat out of people after a certain age, where you have to start being serious. Or if you're not good at it,
I suck. I mean, that goes back to what you were saying, Helga, about drawing, and like if you weren't so good at it to start and whatever. But I think that the biggest thing that especially any adult can do is just don't let anybody tell you can't do something, even yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody can do everything. We just have to try harder.
And the best piece of advice, my first art teacher, who was my neighbor, my mother growing up, she was the mother of another kid on the street, and she taught art classes in her garage every summer, she stuck with is there are no mistakes in art, there are only surprises. So there's nothing that you've done wrong in art. It's just a thing that you didn't anticipate. And that was super liberating as 7-year-old Sarah before there was Tulia. I don't have to drink. But little 7-year-old me was just like mind blown. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh my God. And suddenly it was more fun and it became a passion. So
also I'm gonna point out that throw under the bus of learning, Dobroshka at Feed the Ravens holds classes all the time about, doing head wraps or, having the kids do an archaeology dig or various other things. And so I just want to point out and throw her under the bus a little bit that if you want to learn in a very non-judgmental environment, because I can tell you, one of the least judgmental people I have ever actually met, because she's the one that taught me how to do most of my head wraps, by the way.
I know my head wrap because of Dobroshka.
Yeah.
Because of that idiotic, stupidly drunken video that got passed around.
It's a 10-year-old video of her being drunk doing the Slavic head wrap. And I tell you, that was just mind blown.
I mean,
it was good.
Yeah, I'm glad that I helped get more people's heads covered just for fun. I don't know. I think it's not like it was like a personal crusade for me, but I was that kid in the SCA that was just like, I'm not covering my head. I'm going to come up with every excuse not to cover my head because A, I don't know how, and B, it looks stupid. And I was really adamant. And, I came up with all kinds of reasons. But then when I started doing reenactment in Russia with Farolf, and we would go there, and I started learning about Slav women's headdresses, the first thing that I thought was, wow, does that look like an Islamic person's head covering? and yet it's beautiful and it's normal and nobody's freaking out about it. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody just kind of got used to us doing this, so that, and I'm not promoting the bad sides of that. You know, I'm a hell of feminist, but on the other hand, I do know religious women of that faith who would really like everyone else to shut the fuck up and let them wear what they want to wear.
Yeah.
So if they want to wear a goddamn hijab, they should be able to, and you should be able to stop being offended by it for 5 minutes and ask them why it's important instead of judging people, you know? Because I know a lot of women who are not weak who cover their hair. And anyway, so the soapbox.
Yeah. That's a great.
I think that actually counts as a soapbox.
Yeah, it probably does.
Harry has just dropped the mic. Like he literally grabbed a mic and just dropped it.
I just think that the more people see something, the more used to it they get, and the less judgmental they can be about it. I mean, people where I live, for example, the only time they see a black person is if they go to Mars Hill where the university is. But otherwise, in them there hills, we don't have almost anybody that's not white here. And so people assume they're not racist, but they don't have any experience with anything other than white people. So they kind of automatically are because they don't know how not to be. But travel and experience and exposure to things makes you see the world differently.
What is it? There was a real famous quote, and now I'm blanking who said it, but it was something like the fastest way to undo racism is travel. It's something along those lines. It's like, you know, that just get out there, go to different places, even if it's just like the neighboring state or something like that. Travel more, meet more people different than you, and you learn pretty quickly that we're all the same. We're all very similar. You know, we're all kind of made up in the same sort of way, even if there's language barriers or religious differences, or, you know. Yeah.
Travel is empowerment. I mean,
that's a good question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking, like, when you think you can't go anywhere, even though you think you have freedom, but you can't actually go anywhere because you're a wage slave.
Yeah.
You don't know how to reach out and you don't know how to go out of your comfort zone. You're not free. But if you travel is empowerment. And I know several Black women who are also feel the same way, that their minds were open, just like mine was, the second you leave the country. You're treated differently. You're treated in a totally different way than the people treated you at home. It's automatically assumed that you're, yes.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. That's, Carrie has found the quote. Travel is fatal to prejudice and bigotry and narrow-mindedness. And many of our people, the text is too big for that box for me to read. But anyway, the point is, yes, it's fatal to prejudice.
Travel is empowerment.
Yeah.
I mean, being trapped in your very small world is a form of, like, mental slavery, and for people to get open, they need to go somewhere.
Helga, you got your hand up? Yeah.
So my point to this is, so right now we can't travel, and so what I would like to do is challenge people into finding a neutral source and digitally traveling.
Right.
Use the Discovery Channel stuff, use NPR, use a neutral source or the least bias you can get, and go travel and discover other cultures. We live in an age of technology where sometimes being stuck at home doesn't actually take away your ability to do this. It just makes it a little harder because you have to take yourself outside of your comfort zone. Our home is our easiest little bubble to create, and so to do this in a time like this is a little bit of a stretch, but people can do it. You can travel, you can travel, you can see other cultures, and you can experience other ways of people living digitally. So expand your mind and go check out other cultures and learn about them as much as possible, and then go visit them when you can. Because we all have YouTube. Literally, you have free resources like at your beck and call. Use them.
Yeah.
I think I see a hook in like a.
We're over 5 minutes. We got the over 5 minute answer warning, so we've got to. Do we want to move on to the next question? Or are we ready to do?
Yeah, I believe the next question is yours.
Yes.
It's number 5,
we
not
could
number
do
6.
a whole show on travel. Okay, so this was from Call. What was your biggest aha moment you've ever had as a fighter or crafter? Artist.
Ooh, crafter. It's such a dirty word.
No, I come from the arts and crafts. I'm from the craft side. Like, I'm not an artist. I am a crafts person. You know? Anyway, that's a whole other rant.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And I'm not being sarcastic.
No, it's a real thing. Yeah.
Real serious voice. What was the question?
Oh, it was like, what was your biggest aha moment you've had ever had as a fighter or artist, crafter, etc.?
That is really hard because I have those basically all the time.
Mm.
I
So
mean,
what's the recent one you had, or significant one that stands out?
So I've been having some problems with some glazes, and part of the problem is the way that I apply things on the pottery. Essentially, I wasn't bisquing my stuff. I wasn't firing it hot enough, and so I had to fire it hotter. And then I decided, like, oh, but I like layering these slips on and stuff, and so I came up with this new plan to fire things at a lower temperature and then layer some different colored slips in there in the carvings and stuff that we're doing, and then fire it again at a slightly higher temperature and then layer some more on it.
And did it work?
Fire it a third time with glaze, and it's kind of working pretty awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
we just made these really cute cups with a bunch of cave drawings of fishes and birdies all over them, and they're like totally rainbow. Like there's lots of different colored, like deeply colored slips like jammed in there.
That's really cool.
I don't know if that counts as an aha moment. I mean, I'm sure I've had like other aha moments that were way more technical and interesting, but
no, I think that's actually really
think
good. Yeah. Helga?
So can I answer this as a fighter and as an artist, or as an artist?
Yeah, you're both.
Oh, okay. So as an artist, my biggest aha moment with shields is I used to directly paint onto the shield, or directly draw onto the shield. You want to talk about like being really mad about how many erasers you go through? Fuck that. So I actually have this huge sheet of like heavy duty tracing paper that I like cut the shield shape out on, and then I can draw on that because I can erase and like readjust things, and I can tape it to the shield, so I get that. The biggest aha moment came when transferring it. You can buy carbon paper.
Uh-huh.
My dumbass literally used to do like the flip book thing where I would draw it and then I would like flip it back and move, and like I can actually transfer holding left-handed and drawing right-handed. I have picked up that talent. You want to know how much quicker it goes with carbon paper?
A lot.
First time I did that, I was like,
that same one.
Bitch. So
I had that same one with the fucking Krampus cups. Do you remember the Krampus cups? I had that same fucking exact. I was like with the like with the pencil, and then you're like, fuck, now I gotta draw it again because I can't see it anymore because it's scribbled on. And then I got this carbon paper, and I was just like, oh.
You can get carbon paper in multiple colors.
And then this is an even bigger aha moment. And then I made it into a decal.
Oh my god!
Rubbed it on after I glazed the piece and fired it on, and ta-da, 100 times easier.
So also my other like terrible aha moment was I just learned about you can transfer printer paper ink with alcohol.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Blew my mind.
It's a trick that I learned weirdly enough from nail art YouTubes. Like you can do like cool like newspaper print on your fingernails using that technique, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes total sense. Yeah.
It's super cool, and I was just like, how did I not know all these? I have wasted thousands of hours of my life, and there's these two things that save it. So as a fighter, the biggest aha moment, like literally of my fighting career, has probably been cross the T, and that is where if your sword is parallel, with somebody else's sword, you are giving them a lane. You must move to block it. So you must move. However, if you're perpendicular to the center of their sword, you're already blocked.
Okay.
I don't get it.
And if you think about that, if you actually think about like almost every stance we use is actually an answer to another stance. And that, you know, you can go back into Myers, you can go back into all the other like fighting manuals, and if you look at it with that one rule in mind, you see that one rule everywhere. It's the shortest, fastest line to the block. Cross the T. When that actually went off my head in the middle of a fighter practice, I was just like, I feel so dumb right now. Like,
no, that's good though. That is exactly what it's supposed to happen because your brain, your little neurons finally connected the two little points and you're like, mind blown. I love those moments. So for me, I think mine was, well, it wasn't just one thing. Like Dobroshka said, there's more. It's just sort of like a series of them as you go. Like, and as you progress in your art, and you keep going forward and you keep getting to a certain skill level, and then you kind of plateau for a little bit until you get another aha moment and something clicks, and then you're up here, and then you're at this level for another like however long, and then again something clicks and you get up to the next level. I think mine was the thing that's kind of kicked it off for me immediately was hand sewing, and it was something that I had resisted for a long time because I find that kind of minutia really tedious normally. And so I had to get to a point where I could not physically make my sewing machine do the thing that needed to get done to do this costume unless I actually sewed it by hand. And so that kind of just kicked off this whole thing though, because suddenly I realized, oh my God, period clothes are sewn by hand, not machine. They're not from a pattern. They're made like to individual people, basically, especially when you get the more fitted silhouettes of the 14th through present day, basically ish. They suddenly had this moment of like, well, we have t-shirts, like, but it is, yes, gores were
really
one of the
do that on a machine that good. It looks like shit.
It doesn't look great. It looks better when you do it by hand. And that was one of those things. It was exactly like setting an armpit gore or a gusset and a skirt gore or something like that. And you only can get so far with the machine before the machine like starts to fight what you're trying to do, and it starts to kind of eat the fabric, and it will do it in a certain way if you force it, but it's not happy about it, and it doesn't look great. So, and I know somebody probably is in the comments right now, like, I can set all my gores and gussets by machine, fight me. And I'm like, cool, good for you, because it doesn't work for me. It was a lot easier, and it clicked. It clicked for me with the, hey, period close, made by hand. These techniques that I was attempting to recreate on the machine aren't going to work on the machine. So a lot of stuff I have to do by hand. I don't do everything by hand, though. That's the kind of the other part of it. I have done many garments completely by hand, just as kind of like proof of concept, testing theories and that stuff. But at the end of the day, like I said, I get really kind of tedious. I find it tedious to just like, endless long seams, like boring as fuck. So I will sew a lot by machine, finish it by hand, or I will do things like setting gores and gussets and things like that. I'll set by hand. And then I'll do all of the finishing seam treatments by hand. So all of that stuff gets done by hand. The long, tedious seams get done on the machine, and it works out well because they're stronger. And you can actually, they stand up to like modern laundering machines. And so when you have tourney garb and you just want to like and huck it in the sewing or in the washing machine, it won't fall apart nearly as quickly. But although some people do hand sew really well and very sturdily, I am not one of these people. Like I said, I don't have the patience to sit there and be like, oh look, 12.
Figure out the knot. How do you knot it to stay in? Like I can't. Yeah. I don't know. Like other people sew my clothes. I still remember when I had that same aha moment, and I was like, I was sewing some Viking dress because I was dating this Viking dude. I gotta plot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why can't I just sew this on a machine? At least to this part.
Yep.
You know, like that gore that goes up the middle on some of the Viking underdress patterns, and so it's just like, but you can't sew this part with a machine at all.
You want to know what my
the first time I forced myself to fucking hand sew.
I have a cheat now. I have a cheat for that. I have a cheat for that point in the gore. And now I'm thinking, like, can I like run around and grab an example? I'll just do this. I'll just hang on a second.
Please grab me an example, because I mean, if anybody who knows me is watching, everyone who knows me knows that I'm totally allergic to fucking sewing. And some of my friends are convinced that's why I got so good at pottery, so I didn't have to sew anymore ever again.
Okay, so this is the back gore in a vaguely Slavic tunic that I have. And I have this little diamond patch that I patched over the top. It looks really good. It's there because we'll turn it inside out. I will show everyone my seams. Look, a Laurel showing her seams on live internets. Y'all can just die a little inside. Yeah, no, look. Actually, fucking look, because this is the thing. It's like this shit. It's serged. I serge my seams, my edges. It's a hot mess of threads, and I've got this random little bit that doesn't fit in because I didn't want to like actually hand sew it, so I slapped this little patch over it. Now,
that's your party dress, isn't it?
What's that?
That's your party dress, isn't it? That's like I don't give a shit what gets spilled on this dress.
But also, number one, I'm not entering it in a historically accurate competition, so I'm going to cut corners. I do this all the time, and stuff that I'm not trying to make 100% authentic. I'm not going to make it 100% authentic, and I'm cool with that. I need it to be serviceable, functional, sturdy, be able to survive, all sorts of abuse, wars and tourneys and all the things in between. And I'm okay with that. Now, some people are like, it has to be 100% historically accurate or bust. I'm not one of those laurels, but I will say, if you're going to enter something into a competition, it's gonna behoove you to be as historically accurate as you possibly can be, without endangering yourself or others around you. Right. And it goes back to pottery too.
I can't use lead glazes? What the hell?
You can talk about how lead glazes would have been used, but you probably don't want to use them.
I mean, I will say that's the thing that I love the most about the SCA is that we have a choice. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Europe, I guess you do have a choice too. But if you want to go to the best events, you don't have a choice. If you want to get in there, you're going to go through an authenticity check and blah, 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 blah. The best thing about the SCA is that you can choose exactly how authentic you want to be. You can choose exactly how much time and effort you want to put into it. You can choose in which areas you want to be highly authentic and which areas you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Some people are really good at being fucking cooks or party hosts or really good at making, some obscure thing, but their garb looks like shit. But some of those people are the best artisans at what they're good at, and nobody cares. That's amazing. I mean, that's inclusivity. If you're in Europe, it's, everybody has to. In fact, there's like kind of almost too much put on what you're wearing to me, and not enough put into what you do. Yeah. Like, what do you make? What are you into? That's what I care about. Not what you got on.
Yep.
It is actually one of my favorite parts of the SDA is what you just touched on, is our extreme adaptability about like what. So like if you're gonna be a laurel, there's like a standard you have to go to, but it's a standard in your art because occasionally there's some laurels that walk by that I'm like, that tea tunic is totally cotton.
Who dressed you?
Did your kids choose that for you?
Hey, let's not shame
then you go to their
garb.
Yeah.
As the
But
Have
then-
you guys,
Laurel.
have you guys seen me at Pennsic? I mean,
but
you're
that's
lucky if
one
I
of the
have
cool things
a
about the
stitch on at all, let alone if it's hand stitched or not gotten. I mean,
So we go back to you go back to like what your audience is. I mean, you're not at like a super authentic reenactor market in, Europe.
also, so why should I suffer? But there are people, I will say, there are Laurels that love to come in and look at my seams at Pennsic. I'm like,
I hate that.
please.
Really.
It is 95% humidity. Get out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part where I'm literally like, I don't give a shit what your seams look.
I'm dressed in Greek today, okay?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to ask you what your underwear looks like. I don't need to see your fucking seams unless you want to show me what you did and you're like, look at this cool seam treatment I learned. Like, cool. I'll love the shit out of your seams. I'm not going to walk up to you and be all Laurel handshake. Oh, how'd you do that? Like, that's some bullshit.
It's kind of crass. I mean,
So tacky.
I don't really understand I do understand where it comes from. I do know that there are people who were super revered in their heyday in the SCA, and that now maybe like people have surpassed their level of skill in what they do, and so they're sort of like looking for their place in the world, and somehow checking out other people's seams is the way that makes them feel cool. But I say don't do it.
This is a digression a little.
Just like you don't fucking ask someone if you're a he, she, or a they.
You just hit that on the nose. Yeah.
You ask, how shall I refer to you? You also don't say, tell me like where you got the idea for what you're wearing, or like what is going on with that seam, or you just don't judge people for what they're doing in the SCA.
I feel like clothes are
You need a mic drop there.
Well,
That's like a total mic drop
oh,
there.
oops.
Just like we're gonna go with. I think that's a soapbox drink.
I have a very angry kitten right here.
So I'm gonna end the soapbox with be fucking nice, and don't take someone just because you think they're good at something and it intimidates you, and try to pick them apart for no reason.
I have to hold my.
Some of us are sensitive, and it hurts our feelings.
I have to hold my old man for a minute. He was
Your old
got-
man is like the best.
he got down in the basement and he was yelling at me. So now this is shutting him up. Okay.
Mr. B is pissed, and he's over there on his moving blanket pile, like fuck you and your fucking show.
I love Mr. B.
So amusingly enough, that is a great segue before we go to the next question. Is remember that for every 10 likes, our opening scene doggo gets a treat. And we, just so you know, we hold Baby Ninja to it like hardcore. Like, did she get all her treats?
Yeah.
He's
she might
eating
be
the treat.
pounds.
He's eating the treats now. Where's the dog treat? Is there a dog? Does the dog get a treat? Or
Yep,
Dog
dog gets a treat.
gets a treat. Like, well, I mean, we could ship Baby Ninja treats. Look, if we get over 100 likes on this, I will ship Baby Ninja a box of treats that he's got to eat.
how does Baby Ninja feel about Dentabones?
A bacon strip bag.
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
Mr. B got a giant case of Dentabones from one of his fans in the post. It was awesome.
You guys misunderstand how mean Lana will get when I'm trying to eat those. And yes, my mic is hot. All the stream can hear this. She will fight me over those.
Well, then, maybe we should have, get over 100 likes and we'll watch the fight between you and the dog over a bone.
I would never hit that dog, so I've already lost.
Exactly. So we just get to watch her, like, top
Just don't wake up the dog. The dog's totally asleep. You can totally
yeah.
rock this.
Yeah. So, okay, with that, we'll go to the next question.
It's commercial
I
time,
can
guys.
never pronounce this name.
No.
Oh, is it commercial time? Never mind.
Yeah.
My bad. We're going to a commercial. You got this, Baby Ninja, or am I still being amusing? I'm still live.
Miscellaneous Etc. makes custom machine embroidery and garb. From patches to horse barding, nothing is too large or too small. How about a heraldic mask or banner? Maybe a new cloak or hood? Livery for your entire household? Badges of office? Miscellaneous, etc. can do it all. You can find them on Facebook at MISC-ETS4, that is MISCETC, and the number 4. Miscellaneous, etc., where imagination meets reality. Miscellaneous, etc. makes custom machine embroidery and garb. From patches to horse barding, nothing is too large or too small. How about a heraldic mask or banner? Maybe a new cloak or hood? Livery for your entire household? Badges of office? Miscellaneous, etc. can do it all. You can find them on Facebook at MISC-ETS4, that is MISCETC, and the number 4. Miscellaneous, etc., where imagination meets reality. Miscellaneous, etc. makes custom machine embroidery and garb. From patches to horse barding, nothing is too large or too small. How about a heraldic mask or banner? Maybe a new...
And welcome back, everybody. I hope that everybody's having a good time, because we sure are. Everybody just went and re-poured their drinks a little stiffer, so hang on for this ride. So the next question, and I know I jack this name up every time. Angus. All right. Angus.
How hard is it to say Angus?
Okay,
It's so different.
I think that we went through this in like episode God knows what. I'm dyslexic, and names, I butcher names because there's so many different pronunciations. Everything comes like I process everything like literally as it's written, and so learning the English language has been a really weird thing for me. I have to memorize spelling, not rules. And so names jack me up. I could see a name 100 times, and it takes it until my brain memorizes that specific pronunciation. I want to go back to just like, that is how it's spelled. This is how I pronounce it, and none of the rules apply.
Yeah, you know what I do? I associate the picture of the name to the human being's face and how you pronounce it.
That's so. It takes, I have to go from person. So I memorize people really fast. Like I knew your name, like I knew your face much sooner than I could recall your name. So it goes like face, name, written pronunciation, and then I have to like back train it. It's fucking weird. And it's a pain in the ass. And so I'm sorry for everybody's name that I butcher, even though you've written like 50 questions in. I'm a little not so smart. So
that's a lie. She's very smart. That's not her area of emphasis.
That is not the area of my brain.
Everybody has their area of expertise, and spelling and pronunciation doesn't have to be yours.
Not one of them.
You got
me, sister.
Lose that shit out of the water.
I'm like, you got me. I can pronounce most names, but I can't remember faces. So.
Oh man, I can tell by people like how people move if they've had injuries like 10 years ago by like how they favor joints or like move or something else like that. It freaked my psychologist out because I looked at him and was like, "Man, when did you break your shoulder?" And he was like, "What?" Which was really funny. So with that,
we're on a show.
Question is,
we drank a lot already.
Yeah. What kingdom, other than yours or your own, have you taught, fought, or volunteered in that inspired you to approach things in a different way, and why?
I'm first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, so. Ooh, it's really hard, but I would like to talk about volunteering, but I don't want to talk about my volunteering. So
yeah, go for it.
There's two situations that I want to talk about that were super hyper inspiring, and that like I decided to change what I did in the SCA because of people volunteering. And so the first one is at Great Western War. The volunteers there that take care of the bathrooms are so incredibly hardworking. And what's really cool is that a household will, a household or a group of friends will basically sponsor a bathroom, or they're responsible for a bathroom. And so because we're on Merchants Row, typically the stone privy by us can be pretty wretched, but the people that clean that were so incredible, and it's kind of a nasty space. I mean, it's basically a giant stone outhouse with cement floors and flush toilets, but it can be gross. I mean, everybody knows that at events people are gross, and like you throw your freaking extra, you pull the toilet paper off and it rips and you leave it on the floor. Like, I don't know who does that, but lots of people do. And then some poor person has to clean up the teepee fucking spit wad off the floor and scrape it into the trash, or it stays there the whole war. These guys are really immaculate about how they clean the bathrooms, and they're just volunteers. They're just people just like us enjoying the war, right? So Scott and I started sponsoring like the people that clean the bathrooms at wars, depending on where we were and what we did. So we just started like gift bombing. Like, here's a bunch of stuff. It only goes to the volunteers that do the potties. And it was just like a way to sort of like say like, hey, we really, 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 really appreciate what you do. But then the other one was when we were at Gulf Wars. We often go really early to Gulf Wars, because always like the way Estrella and Gulf Wars line up, it doesn't make any sense to go home, especially, since we used to live in Germany, it made no sense to go home between. So we would just travel slowly across and then go early on at Gulf Wars and volunteer to the merchant staff. What we saw was the early on staff were so incredibly welcoming and hospitable and nice, and people always came up with these really fun games sort of just between the early on staff, and just sharing and inviting people from different places that you didn't know, and kind of the camaraderie that comes with volunteering when you show up to an event early. To me, that changed us a lot. And we've been volunteering early on at Gulf Wars since, he was doing it since before I knew him, and I've been doing it since I've been with him. And there's a lot of special stuff that happens during like setup of a war. Mm-hmm. And if you can be a part of that ever, I highly recommend it. It's really great. Nice. It builds camaraderie, and you just feel like you own it a little bit.
I haven't done actually a lot of volunteering in other kingdoms, but I will say that something that I really admire in other kingdoms that it's something I wish that we're getting better at here in the West. In the West, yay! Everybody drink. Also, I'm covered in cat hair now, so I'm completely filtered through cat hair.
You can't see it actually. At least not on my screen.
Okay, good. Because literally, I am like white here, and I'm like, this was a bad night for the noodle to start getting cuddly. But you know what? It's worth it. He's my old man. He just turned 14. So he gets all the love. But one of the things I really, really love about other kingdoms is that they really kind of go out of the way to have like a special thing for awards that are given. Starting at like the AOA level where you'll get a scroll, or when you're you get like another kind of like award where you get like a thing with it that kind of is above and beyond the like the little I have been on.
I think Palantir gives you a drinking mug.
Yeah, and it's really think that's awesome. Cool. That's really cool. Like
they have a period mug. Like what? Awesome.
So it is one of those things where I look at that happening in other kingdoms, and I'm just like, God, that'd be really cool to just go that little extra mile to make that thing super special for that person. Yeah, and it's especially on the AOA level. Like I feel like that is something we really should make a bigger deal about. And some people
so like tongue in cheek or something, like, oh, you got your AOA. That's how I treated when I got mine. Like, oh, finally, it's like, well, sorry, nobody noticed I didn't have one yet. Like I was pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, so I think my AOA was bundled into another reward, a rose leaf for arts, and I got it. I was given a promissory, and this was in like 1995, 96, 97. So it was like a dot matrix printout that had like kind of Mad Libs type, here do we award fill in the blank,
Oh,
her,
man.
yeah, like, and so one of these days I'm going to go dig it out of my mother's basement and have it framed, because I never got a scroll. I never got like a special thing with it. I did get a special thing with the rose leaf, but that was a legacy rose leaf. It was one of the original dipped in gold rose leaves that they used to do. They don't do those anymore. And it had come handed down from a friend of mine, gave me his that had been given to him by the original recipient. And I was told to pass it along to another bard. And so I did pass it along when one of my good friends was awarded a rose leaf. And I gave her that particular rose leaf. And they don't make those anymore. It's a kind of a gold medal, or gold-ish, gold type medal. I don't even know what it is anymore. Stamped sort of award. But oftentimes I've been on courts where the award box magically was empty. Like nobody had checked the award box before the award was announced in court. So they were out of a specific award. And I'm just like, come on, get your shit together, people. Like, so I think that making that thing really special is something that I'd like to see more.
All awards should be made special, always.
Yeah, and especially the AOA. I really feel like it's the AOA. Just really needs to be made like super special, like because it's like the coolest award. It really is. But Helga, what is your answer?
Drink. Having been royalty, I'll tell you the AOA is the most powerful award in the SCA.
Yeah, totally. How to win friends and influence people. How to get new people and keep them.
I would also say we see you.
Treat them nice. Like, hi, you better do us.
So,
all of us. Cool.
Another kingdom other than the West that I've taught, fought in, or volunteered. Yeah, there's so many. Actually, like I have been very spoiled in my SCA travel because I tend to trade for my travel. So I'll trade shields, or I'll trade like work. Like I'll show up to your house a couple days beforehand. I will buck logs or hay or whatever. Like, cool, pay my plane ticket. I will go hunt my own food. I don't give a shit. I want to go fight at this event. And so I've been very, very spoiled. I've also been very spoiled with the generosity within the SCA, so I've gotten in trouble a lot. And so I'm going to try to do like a really kind of like succinct list of this. When I got to be in the East, I got to help hand out some AOAs as princess and be involved in that. And I absolutely love their scroll culture. I just absolutely adore their scroll culture, because I saw an AOA given out and the text was like in point fucking 5 font, and it was done on a bookmarker. So
That's
they
cool.
have their AOA wherever they go. They can take it wherever they go. Like all these AOA scrolls were done in such like they were down from like small pieces of vellum to these huge things, depending on the person, and it was just really neat to see it because how they did it, and there was such variety that the scribes kind of have like free reign as long as they follow the script. But it was really cool. That I've gotten to teach in and participate in is Sport of Kings, and actually I kind of stole that idea and made it very minuscule, and we turned that into the West Kingdom meet and beat. But I took that idea, and it was really cool because it was a place where there wasn't any ego, where you could see super dukes taking classes from very new knights, and sitting there as students. They weren't sitting there to critique. They weren't sitting there to audit. They were sitting there as students. And that the Sport of Kings is an amazing place where I swear to God, when you sign into Gate, people leave their ego like a shirt checked at the front of a counter. Like I don't
really nice.
They walk into this event, and it is this huge pool of knowledge. And so it taught me a different way to approach teaching. Of teaching and learning shouldn't be about what you know and trying it against somebody else's knowledge, but it should be about pooled knowledge and pooled resources and pooled information, and then developing that around a student and developing that around who you're training with or who you're teaching with. So you can learn that language. So that's Sport of Kings. Volunteered? Shit, I think I've volunteered at every major war that I've gone to. Great Western, Estrella, Gulf Wars. And I'll tell you that Gulf Wars taught me hospitality.
Yes.
Gulf Wars, flat out, their volunteer staff, their level of hospitality is beautifully done. And it's kindly done. They have so many different royals from so around everywhere, and so many people traveling in, that if you're at gate and you're like, I am lost, they'll be like, do you need an escort to your camp? Like, well, but I'm not royal. They're like, I don't give a fuck. Would you like a golf cart ride or to be walked? And like, it's amazing. Their level of hospitality is beyond measure. There, and so I try to take that idea and bring it back to the West of like, if I'm working gate and somebody's lost, like, let me step up from gate and take you to where this camp is. Like, let me not just be like, oh, it's over yonder, so-and-so around this. No, let me go take you there, and then I will walk back to gate, and I will go back to work at gate. And I took that from Gulf Wars. So, hospitality. Leave your ego at the fucking door. Yeah.
I feel like leave your ego at the fucking door can apply in so many situations.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
going on right now.
I mean, if you're looking at that question, the best thing you can ever do is every time you go out of kingdom, look for things that you can implement in your own.
Yeah.
Look for something special that you've never seen before. Look for something that makes people feel the magic and implement that somewhere else. That's what we do. I mean, we go everywhere. I mean, we're not highly active in our own kingdom. We go to sometimes, we were going to go to Ruby Joust this year. We go to sometimes a couple of events in our kingdom, and otherwise, you know, we're pretty remote where we live, so we don't actually play a lot locally. We kind of save up our energy and then go travel out in the known world somewhere. But we try to pick up little things that we find along the way that make the experience better for everybody, and we just implement them wherever we go.
Travel.
Lots of games and lots of like hospitality. It's the thing, like activities.
Can we just come full circle in this episode of travel gets rid of your prejudices?
Yeah.
Travel teaches you a lot, and it teaches you a lot of things. Like in the West, we are, I would say, okay, in the West,
yeah,
tend to be SCA xenophobic, I guess. That's the best way to describe it. Very, like, the West is the best. The West is number one. The West kingdoms, what other kingdoms? Like, which is legit, actually, you know, embroidered on the fucking book of heraldry for the West Kingdom. It actually says in Latin kingdoms, what other kingdoms? Like, it is a thing with Westies who think that they are so, like, fabulous and they couldn't possibly be better anywhere else. And that's bullshit, because while there's other, like, stupid things about other kingdoms, there's also great things that other kingdoms do that could improve things here. And I know that's, like, totally Western heresy, and I'm probably going to get, like, hate mail because of it. Also, I know Fleeg.
I believe both of us are Western heretics.
Can I just tell you my impression of the West is like
please.
Probably the opposite of yours, but whenever I go to the West, I feel like everybody is super accepting of freaking anything. You want to have a party and have everybody come in like weird ass onesies from Walmart and like furry fucking like I don't know what. Like the West is your fucking jam. You want to like do like a superhero party where everybody's garb is like kind of medieval, married also with the Legion of Doom. Awesome. The West is your kingdom. I mean, and also I have never been in the West and had anybody treat me with anything other than respect and just like welcoming and sort of, they don't give a shit. It's like, my opinion of the West is that it's really about the fun first before everything else. And everything else can kind of be like icing on the cake or swept under the rug. It depends on how it affects the fun. If it affects the fun negatively, well, let's just like.
I think the hard part comes out when you come up to a Westie and say, "Well, in my kingdom we do," and a Westie immediately goes,
"Whatever."
So other than that, we love you. Fabulous.
And so I'll actually say that I want to like give a shout out to the current generation of the West. I think is actually trying to address the West is best thing, and I think that a lot of my generation has traveled a lot, and or been very much so. They kind of dealt with the weird hero's downfall that happened with us, and so Dobroshka, I'm super happy that that's your impression of the West because I think that there's a lot of us that are working really hard to kind of get over that weird generational thing that happened where like the West is best and like everything else. And I think that there's that next generation that's coming up is very much so much more open to culture changes, to not being like, oh, the West is like the hardest hitting kingdom. It's like, well, we're not. But I think that as we see the generations go along, we're going to see a lot more of that like mixed culture within the society itself. One of which is because we have a little bit more of like connection online. So we have the interkingdom anthropology exchange online. Or we're like, well, we do it in this kingdom like this way, and you do it this way. So can you tell me the history on that? And so we're starting to share those histories much more openly, and it's a broader base. And so I'm really hoping that as time goes on, we'll see a lot of those weird kind of kingdom bullshit, like sports team mentalities die off. And like, cool, like, rah, rah, go West. I'm 100% a Westie, but I can guarantee you we're not fucking perfect. No kingdom is. And the more we intermix and the more we get over like one kingdom is better than the other, the better like mix of culture we're going to have and the broader range of information exchange we're going to have. And I'm very excited about that generation coming into like our power players of the SCA.
I think that's really exciting. I mean, I'm not going to say that we're boomers because I'm Gen X and I'm not sure what Scott is and I won't say, but I mean, Bartle.
Also, I think we have our first troll in the comments.
I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I
think it'll be really, 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 really interesting to see what happens post-COVID because so many of your generation, Araya, I mean, shit, Helga. I'm going to get drunk now. I think that so many of your generation have already been traveling, but are now like taking the time to talk rather than just fight each other. And there's like, I mean, Tuli and I are of one generation, and you're of like sort of like the next gen. And there are a lot of you, and people don't like to talk about you. I don't know. They seem to think that the SCA is dying out. I don't see that, but and we go a lot of places, and I see a lot of young people. So that attitude to me is kind of whack. Like, actually, there are a lot of young people and new people, and let's be nice about it. You know, let's not hang on to our. But I really think it's going to be super interesting to see what your generation takes out of all this, because you've kind of been forced into this intellectual space of the SCA rather than just the doing space of either fighting, making, or moving on up or whatever. And you're actually talking to each other across interkingdom levels, and it's going to be super interesting to see what happens next.
I'm really excited about it. Like, growing pings suck. And I realize we have gotten way off the conversation and topic and everything.
I don't even know what the question was.
But I'm going to say that there's a lot of people that fear what's happening online with the SCA. And I think that once we move past and actually learn how to communicate clearly on this platform, and like text conversation always kind of sucks. You have to learn to move past your own emotions and damage before you can read somebody's text message and not take on like seeing it as a mirror. It's a weird. We can go into philosophy of that later, or like the psychology of that later, like whatever. But I'm really excited to see the like level of interkingdom information exchange that's happening right now. It excites me. It doesn't scare me. The arguments don't scare me. And I am really excited to see what the next generation does with this developing knowledge base. Because I think it's just going to make us better. It might make us smaller for a time, but I think it's going to make us so much better.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I think that size is relative altogether. I mean, with the SCA, it's quality versus quantity to me. But I'm not a fighter. When you're a fighter, you kind of want quantity a lot of times. I mean, you want like, you know, a lot of bodies on the field. So maybe for fighters, it's a scary time. But for me, I'm happy to see some people kind of go find another hobby if they're not nice. If you're not nice, or you're too married to your ego and you're too married to your exclusivity, then maybe you should find something else to do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing also. We want to keep this game fun for all the right reasons. If we are
for everyone, not just some people.
Right, and that's the thing. And not even, you know, and I kind of had to sit for a second because I almost said fun for everyone, and then I'm like, well, there's a significant portion that are being very loud and like tantrumy about it not being fun for them anymore. And I'm kind of like, I don't feel bad. Yeah, I'm kind of not feeling bad that those people aren't having fun because my SCA is inclusive. My SCA is something that, you know, no matter what walk of life you come from, provided you don't think somebody else should get shit on, you're welcome here.
Right.
End of story.
I think right now it's like a really, really difficult situation because I think there's a lot of stuff that, as you know, a 90% or 90, almost 9% like white organization, there's a lot of stuff that we've never had to actually deal with. And it's been like a super fun, safe space of like, you know, let's not talk about that. But
exactly.
But actually, in reality, there are people who are our friends and who are around and they are affected by it. And sort of like, just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, that's just like, doesn't work anymore. I mean, you just can't, I can't be friends with, you know, person A and then tell person B that like, yes, I totally welcome you. But I also have to be nice to person A who totally hates you for no reason. You know, like, I don't have to be nice to person A anymore. Like, you can just kind of, we can just like let people go. It would be nice. You know, like, if you can't be cool to everybody, maybe you could go do some other hobby.
I think we picked up another bot. I think the bots are heavy tonight, so we'll see how this works.
Do you have another one?
Yeah,
I don't see them.
Anyway, it's great. The bots are out in force tonight. It means we're doing something right. I don't know.
I don't see anything.
So we had somebody come in the comments and literally was just like blowing up the comments with like random bullshit. And so I have a feeling we're probably going to have a couple of these because typically when a channel is picked up, that's going to happen. So we'll go from there. And I think with that, that's a good time to roll over to the next thing. And I'll tell you that I hear the splashing of waves and the Lady of the Lake. COVID is struck. The Lady of the Lake says, I forgot it was Friday. Oh no, it fell off. That is a Maggie. Hang on, can I have that for a moment once you stick this?
Whoa, that's an old one.
It won't stick? I believe this is a Maggie mug that was delivering the sticky note from the Lady of the Lake.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, it's a pitcher, but, you know, unless you're Rorik, then, you know, it's...
Yeah, exactly, unless it's a vase.
Or an espresso mug.
He just walks in and he's all like...
I was excited about you being on the show. Oh, hang on, the Lady of the Lake. I hear much splashing in the background as the Lady of the Lake furiously writes.
I'm confused. What's happening? I'm
fried. Oh, I'm fired.
She's fried.
Fired.
Fired.
I can't. You are not fired. You're the best part of this show most of the times.
Sometimes dyslexia is fun, though. How did you get fried?
Oh my God! Have you? Today was
the Lady of the Lake. You just got the Lady of the Lake eyebrow, which was like.
She's got a good eyebrow.
She has an eyebrow that makes me scurry out of the kitchen.
Yeah, she's got the mom eyebrow, the people's eyebrow.
Let's just call it that. Like, she gives me the eyebrow, and I'm like, I'm the fuck out. Like, I'm sorry, I may be a big alpha female. I got nothing against that eyebrow.
I feel like the lady of the lake and I have an understanding actually already.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, for sure.
And so again, I can hear her furiously
We're
splashing,
like
looking, writing, holding the sticky notes above the water line.
Wow, this must be a big one.
Oh God.
Roll.
So Maggie, your favorite story about the hosts of this show?
Drink. You called her by her not new SCA name.
Sorry.
I don't think this is the first time anyone's ever asked this question.
I know.
Okay.
Damn, that's a drop.
This is a funny, good one. So I remember once upon a time, a person named Helga was on, I don't know, some throne or other. I believe it might have been princess or maybe it was queen. I can't remember because there's a lot of them. Anyway, she's like princess to be princess or she's princess to be queen. I can't remember. And everybody is trying to get her out of boy clothes. And
Oh, that was the princess reign. Yeah.
there's like this conspiracy theory out there of like, oh my God, we have to get her into some kind of girl clothes. I don't remember who it was that was like, you know, blah, 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 blah about it. And then Helga like romps up to our booth and she's like, I've always really wanted to have temple rings, but I just can't see myself in a dress.
I have those. I know where they're at.
Right? You know, like, you know you. And so I'm like, well, how about these? And I like gifted her this Ocelli band with temple rings. And I'm like, how about these? and you had to make a dress after that.
So those,
Yeah.
I will just say that
And
those
that was
temple
funny.
rings are flat my favorite. I have used them in
Oh, those
any.
are the big ones?
Those are
Are
my
those the
big
big
ones on the
I don't
orange band.
remember.
one. So
I just
every
know
time
she
I-
freaked out and she had to make a dress all of a sudden. And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
Tommy.
yeah, she totally screwed me. But in this process, the one that was
And
like,
then it was like, look, I'm wearing pants.
yeah. But I have used those for every step up and step down that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
beautiful.
It's fun to look exotic. I mean,
Oh, and
really,
I
it's-
love them. Like I absolutely adore that entire
I
set, and that
love
gift
it.
means so much to me. There's sweat lines
Love it.
in it because I stepped up in those in 110 degrees, and so I'm just like I had to like hand scrub the silk to clean it.
Yeah, so when I got dressed up I was a slightly bit late actually to the pre-show, and it's because I got all dressed up in my Slav kit and started immediately sweating like
Oh,
the beast. Because Scott decided to put a fire in the wood stove because our place has been kind of like starting to grow mold on stuff because it's a rainforest here, and it was finally cool enough at night that we could actually build a fire in the fireplace. And so he's like cranks up the wood stove, and I'm like, oh God, perimenopausal, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
So I put on all
I
linen.
haven't worn wool. I've not worn wool since like April. So
Yeah.
once the show started, and now it's finally cool enough. We hit like a final like a cool spot after like these insane heat waves and all the fires and everything. Where I finally tonight I told Thorfinn, I was like, I can actually stomach the idea of putting on like a wimple, a veil, like in 3 layers. Two
That
of
was
them
my
linen,
problem,
one of
was the
them
3
wool.
layers. Like my
Yeah.
Slav kit has like 4 layers, only one of which is linen. The rest are like different silks and stuff. And it's like
Oh, silk
you
is
might as well
super
put it
insulated.
in an oven.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. a good-
Exactly. The texts are really bitchy on your show.
No, they're so bitchy, especially since we actually did away with the drink when Tulia references Thorfinn rule, because people were taking it a little too far. It
funny,
became
though.
less. It
was
became less
super
about.
cute,
Like,
yes.
it became less about like taking the piss and more about like just kind of being shitty. And I kind of was like, I'm no longer comfortable with this, so we kind of took it off. But you know, I will drink to that.
It was really
On
cute
my
when you
own
were all like,
fucking
my
terms.
boyfriend. And I was like, oh. So cute.
I'm crazy in love with that guy. Like, you guys don't even realize. Like, I've had enough to drink.
Oh, I
can
do,
say
because he still lives together with you and not on the curb. So obviously you're in love with him.
He was one of my best friends prior to us getting together, because we finally ended up single at the same time. Like, woo, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's good. Then you've heard all of his snoring stories, so you can
I know. Oh, girl, shit. Trust me.
I mean, I literally thought suddenly there was a subway system in Sunnyvale because that guy's snoring in the next room.
He's literally, yeah, like.
Well, are we ready for
What's the next question?
Yeah, I was about to say, are we ready for the next question? Oh, this one's for you, Sarah. Or damn it, Tulia.
Damn it!
Fuck! I'm running out of cocktails. Hey, Finn! I need another drink.
Need is such a funny word.
I need
Tulia,
it.
The next question is yours.
Yes. Okay, so this comes from someone who signed their name Callantir Baron. I'm sorry, I don't know your actual name, but also when you send us questions, please, include how you would like to be addressed on the show, and we will absolutely do that. But this person is Callantir Baron. I'm assuming a Baron from Callantir. Like, cool. What is your favorite mug and why?
Mine that I made, or
you could answer both.
Okay, both. So lately, we've been transitioning my work into kind of the more modern realm, taking kind of ancient forms and putting handles on them, taking patterns from random places or just our ideas and sticking them on stuff and not giving a shit if it's historical. Because, it's COVID, and actually I don't also mind selling my pottery to, muggles. So it's been really fun to kind of branch out and not do historical replicas only. And so this one mug that I came up with recently, it's like really, really beautiful. It's a form that transcends lots of different cultures. It's a form that exists in Roman times, in Italy. It exists in Greek mythology, kind of like those like urn sort of, terra sigillata pots time period. It's all over Slavic stuff, and it's a beautiful form. And we just slapped a handle on it, and I put this this design on it, which is it's like a really ancient pre-Viking runic symbol of. In fact, lots of cultures use it. It's heavily used in India, but I don't know what it means in India. But in Slavic culture, it means something good grows here. And Scott and I, shit.
This is swiftly becoming.
He's in there.
Awesome.
Drink. Charles and I used it as our wedding ring design. It's on this. So our wedding ring, my wedding ring, is a replica of an original where he actually purchased an original Slavic ring, excavated ancient piece that has this X symbol on it. And he talked to some friends and found out this meaning, something good grows here. And he had it reproduced in gold for me for our wedding ring. And he told me about it ahead of time. And then I designed his ring, and it's sort of more modern, and it's the exact shape and face of that ring, but repeated around in sort of like a manly band kind of thing. And it has that symbol over and over and over and over again. Because I thought for love, something good grows here is kind of a talisman for forever. It's going to mean different things at different points in your life. So we made that our symbol for our love. And eventually, the funny story that goes along with this is that after we got married and he wore his ring to Russia, a bunch of friends were like, holy shit, you're going to have a lot of babies. Turns out it's also a fertility symbol. And he has it like his ring is that thing like repeated like 7 times. So that was funny because we're really old for babies, and he was a little bit scared. And anyway, so we decided on this mug to make sort of stripes of this symbol over and over, and we call it the Something Good Grows Here mug. And for me, that's probably like my new favorite thing that I've ever made, because it's so beautiful and everybody can appreciate it. And sort of like, you know, in the morning when you think about that, it just makes you all like warm and fuzzy.
That's
lovely.
amazing.
Isn't that cool? Okay, and
That
then
is really cool.
I have another favorite mug. Oh, shut up. I have another favorite mug, and I'm going to go get it because it's from another SCA merchant, and I'm going to plug them. Wow.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you guys answer that for yourselves in the meantime,
absolutely.
so I can also pee while I'm getting the mug?
Yeah, go pee. Absolutely, do that. Sister, I feel you. Helga, do you want to do that?
I think we're just going to go with 1, this show's going over time. 2, it seems like we're all having a blast. I hope our audience is also having a blast with us. It has been amazing so far. You guys have been wonderful in the comments. And 3, my favorite mug, which I'm sad Maggie isn't here for, she'll have to watch it later, is so I paid into the Maggie Mug of the Month Club. And she just recently, I know, I'm sorry. It's all Hans'
You want to
fault.
can I just say, like literally, so she announced that she was going to do her Maggie Mug of the Month Club thing, and I had to do something that I think it was for a podcast. I had to be on a different podcast, and I missed like literally the 15 minutes that it took for everybody to sign up, and I'm on a wait list. That's fine. That's cool.
Well, so, I mean, I don't know what Hans and I are going to do with 12 mugs, so we might just have to talk about everything that's showing up.
Okay, fine. I'll buy them off you.
Because these things are amazing. So she just did, and I'm going to do this so I can...
I love that size. That size is like my favorite size. And I really desperately want one like that.
Oh, so I'm going to go over the mug for a second, but I need to make you all understand. When I turn sideways, this is what my husband made me for a drink tonight. This is 64 ounces. So there's a ladle in it. But we're going to go back to my favorite mug. So I have had favorite mugs, and one of my favorite mugs is my Queen's mug that was then broken, and then Maggie rescued it by having one of her friends glue it back together.
That's right. They did kintsugi on it. That was awesome.
And it's one of my favorite mugs. Currently, my favorite mug is my Maggie Mug of the Month Club. And see these little nubbins? These little nubbins are like perfect for hanging onto this mug. And this is now like my travel mug. I'm going to make it a little pouch so it can go in my bag with me as my drinking mug, because it's also small enough that I can sip a drink without having a huge drink, because I'm not Rorik. I don't need 32 ounces of a drink in one cup. And so this is currently my favorite mug. And it's delightful because, well, it's made by Maggie, and it's perfect for my hand.
That is exactly the size of the mug I really, really, really want. So I have many mugs.
Now I know.
Was that? Yeah, exactly. That size. That is the size of the mug that I want.
I'll share it with you. It's amazing.
No, well, I know the source. I can pay her money.
Scott gave me his ring so that you could see it, because I would show you mine, but okay,
cool. Oh, pretty. Oh, that's really pretty.
Mine unfortunately, we're pretty sure that I had these like IKEA shelves in my studio, and I would put my ring on the shelf when I was throwing, and I'm pretty sure it like fell through the slats of the shelf into my bucket of water. And Scott's like super fastidious of like, your water's getting really muddy, I'm gonna take it to the river. And he cleans my wheel as I'm throwing sometimes. It's kind of awesome. You know,
as a good boy.
The Potters of the world will know how awesome that is. But I'm kind of sure he might have wrung my ring into the river. I'm not going to blame him, though. It's totally my fault because I didn't hang on to it. But this is my other favorite mug.
Oh my gosh! I think we have one of that lady. What's her name?
Well, I don't know if she has an SCA name. Her name is Mary, and she's from Ash and Griffin Pottery.
Yeah,
yeah.
Finn.
Yes.
Yes.
In the SEA.
Yeah, we have one of her mugs, and it's got a boar on it, and it was just like it's this really kind of cool little rustically drawn boar. And since that's Thorfinn's,
that's probably one of her partners. I bet you the boar.
Oh,
if
really?
it's a boar mug, I bet it's Olga. There's like
Okay,
3
it's
women who work in Ashen Griffin, and they all have similar. They
that
fire
same
in the same kilns and they use some of the same glazes, but I mean I can
Yeah.
tell the difference from their work. But I think the boar is
yeah.
Olga.
If Thorfinn is watching this, he'll probably bring it down and I can show it. But it's the same shape as that mug, but it's got a cool little boar on it. And I got that for him for his birthday this year because it was a nice thing. And he drinks his, when he's not drinking out of a Maggie mug for his coffee in the morning, he's drinking out of that. So
I mean, I don't judge. I mean, you guys,
no.
it's not like cheating or something. You're allowed to, love other potters. We do our best to promote all the potters we think are awesome in the SCA because I think that, of all the SCA merchants, some of the ones that work the hardest are the potters. So and
the potters, honestly, and this is for real. Oh, here he comes with it. The potters are the ones.
Good. I can tell you exactly who made it probably. I'm such an SCA nerd that I know exactly all the people. That's Mary. Mary made that, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, same chick that made this.
That's what I kind of thought, but it's the same shape and everything, but it's this cool little boar, and I was like, oh my god, that's the cutest thing ever.
What is so amazing about her is that she fires in a soda kiln, and so it's a really that orange part that you see on that cup is that doppled orange peel kind of look. It only happens because she fires in this specific way and it throws soda in the thing at the end, and it's very similar to salt fired German ware, but anyway, it's super technical. And he's totally an animal, however.
And he loves that mug. I mean, loves it. But it is one of those things that the potters, I think, actually are they're wonderful because they can produce cost effectively a certain amount of tableware, basically, that makes it look period. And so it's kind of the entrance into, you're not doing glass blowing where it's super delicate and very expensive and costly to produce. You're doing these things that are more, everyday use, which works really well when you're in the SCA or reenactment in general, because they can stand up to a lot more abuse than glass can. And I, for one, have such mad respect for every potter I've ever known who has produced anything in terms of historical pottery. Yeah, you guys, just gonna applaud. Just gonna make applause.
You know who I have mad respect for? The glass blower.
Oh my god, I know, right? Yeah. But I didn't get to talk about my favorite Maggie mug.
Yeah. That one's so voluptuous and
beautiful. And I say, you and your husband, who only know by his mundane name and now have forgotten his SCA. Carl. You guys work as a team, right?
Yeah.
How does it? Yeah, how does it? Because you say he did the design on this one?
That piece, well, it depends. I mean, a lot of times I do all of it, but on that piece, I made the piece and he did the stamp work and he designed the stamp work. Yeah. He made the stamp work and
And it's just beautiful. And it's got this beautiful purple glaze in it. You really, really can't see, actually. Can't do really justice, but it's just this overall beautiful thing. And it's a bit big for wee little me. Not that that's ever stopped me. But when we first saw it, we just got it this past Estrella. And Thorfinn and I had forgotten our period feast gear at home. Yeah. So, oh gosh, darn, we have to go buy new feast gear. So of course, first stop.
It's like you going to a war and being like, oh no, I forgot my mug. I'm sorry, I need to go spend money with Maggie. Oops.
That's exactly what happened. Our first stop was Feed the Ravens, and I saw this.
To be fair, we have also lent out a fair amount of pottery for no charge to people that we know who've forgotten their feast gear. And it comes back and we wash it out and someone else buys it sometime later. But
I'm pretty sure you actually did offer. You're like, well, you want loaner stuff? Like, here. And we're all like, no. Let us give us
it.
money.
You break it, you bought it, you know? But
Yeah, exactly. We're like, let's just give you the money. And then we get to keep it forever. So
I mean, that's fine by me.
Yeah. I love this. It's this beautiful lacy pattern. It's really pretty. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to become my favorite mug, but it totally has become my favorite mug. And also it holds a lot of boots.
It was not my favorite when it first came out. I was like, wow, really? That girl has like a really big bottom. Like, wow.
She has a little fat bottom, isn't she? She's good.
But it turns out like the design totally accentuates it in a really nice way.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, it's just so great. It's fun to hold. You can do, with me, I have to hold it in two hands and everything. And I'm sure in real life I look ridiculous with this giant mug. But it's honestly, it has been one of my favorite mugs for this show because it holds a lot of liquid. So I don't need as many refills.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last sentence for talking about Maggie stuff, but Maggie mugs have been also known as danger mugs.
Yes. Yes.
Next question.
Okay.
I was about to say with the next question, we technically have 3 more in the list. We've gone 2 hours. Maggie, how are you doing?
Holy crap! We talk a lot.
We could go all night.
Well,
what? I feel like what else have we got to do?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, really.
Maggie, as long as you're good to keep going, we'll finish out with the last
fine.
2 questions.
Everybody else can go fuck off to bed. I'm cool with it. It's good.
And also you're Eastern Standard Time, so I'm like, it's midnight where you are.
I mean, this is really exceptional for me staying up past 9 p.m.
Same here, actually. My bedtime is like 10.
Okay,
also,
so with that, we'll go to the next question.
Also do make the SCA go around, by the way. I will agree to that.
What's that? I'm sorry, repeat that?
The text support had a little bit of a, whatever you call that, scrolling text thingy.
Yeah.
Big bottom girls.
So the tech support, are you good to go? Can you give me a thumbs up?
Make the rockin' world go round. All right, let's focus.
Cool. So focusing with the next question. So Amy asks, what quality of a person speaks to your heart more than any other, and why?
Fucking honesty. What? Oh,
yeah.
Honesty, period. Straightforward, fucking just be honest. No mincing around. Don't fucking try to spare I mean, I'm terrible socially, so just tell me the truth. If I hurt your feelings, you have to say like, hey, fucker, you hurt my fucking feelings.
I'm the same exact way. Do not use nuance with me. I'll be like,
I don't get it.
No. You got to literally sit down and be like, hey, what you said was kind of shitty. And I'd be like, oh, shit. Oh, my God. Otherwise, if you're just passive,
you're totally right. And I'm terribly sorry. Yeah. Like, yeah,
I had so many people.
Most of us creative, nerdy nerds are on the spectrum. And social fucking mores are very difficult to navigate. So if you actually want to know what I'm mean or feel, you should just ask me and I'll tell you the answer. And even though you think I'm being sarcastic, I'm actually just being direct.
Exactly. I have
when I tell you something, it's what I'm not fucking around. Like that's the truth. Like period.
The thing that I can't stand is passive aggressiveness. If I've upset you or hurt your feelings or something like that, and I will, trust me, that is 99.99999% of the time not what I intended. I will be horrified and want to rectify it immediately. If you're just like giving me the cold shoulder or being like snippy or any of that, I'm just like, why is this person being an asshole? And I'm not gonna like you.
Like, oh wow, someone's having a bad day.
Right. Or I'm just like, you know what, and fuck you too.
Go do something else.
Yeah, I've had that. I've run into that a couple of times, and it's very frustrating in the SCA when it happens because I'm like, honestly, I fucked up. Like, let me apologize. And if you don't want to accept my apology, that's cool too.
I fully accept that I fuck up fucking regularly.
Yeah.
Like
socially.
Sure. like navigating the kind of like cues and the stuff, like I will say that women, like, we play games with each other way more than guys do, and that's why some of us are, we're basically tomboys, because it's really easy to get along with guys and kind of like do that sort of like we mean what we say thing. But like with women, it's very difficult if you think that you should mince around or like formulate I don't know, like make up a scenario that leads us to an idea or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not.
I think
mince around all you want. If you don't tell me, hey, you're being an asshole, I'm not gonna know that I'm being an asshole.
I've had 2 very recent experiences where I've said something or been in proximity to something that was said, and the person who took offense at it lumped me in with it, and fair enough, like, that's fine. Okay, I'm not gonna at all, I was standing there when somebody said something shitty and I didn't speak up, or I said like something that could be interpreted in whatever way. But both of those instances that happened were with men, and it was the men who were like, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. And I was like, I don't understand why this person doesn't like me anymore. Like, so I reached out, like, and then often cases it takes me years because we only see each other a couple of times a year. And I'm like, ever since in the last like 6 years, you've been kind of standoffish. And finally, I'm like, there's been enough like evidence compiled in Tulia brain for me to go, is something wrong? And then I find out that I said something, or I was in proximity to something that was said, and I was kind of like lumped into this whole thing. And I'm like, oh shit, fuck, I am so sorry. If I had known that at the time, we could have saved 6 years of like bullshit, and we could have just cut to the chase. I could have apologized, and you could have decided whether or not to accept it. Yeah, that whole thing, we could have just cut through a lot of dumb shit. So my whole thing too is definitely like, don't give me passive aggressive bullshit.
Let's just be honest all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Helga?
Also, assume that what I'm telling you is actually what I mean, and try not to like attach a whole bunch of your own whatever it is that you assume that I think onto my words. Like, my words really, really do mean what they say. Look up the definition of the words in the dictionary. That's pretty much what I mean. I'm not telling some kind of a convoluted story with it. It's not. I am fucking hell of sarcastic, and I do tell hell of jokes all the time. But
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm really, if I tell you something, it is what it is. It's not.
I think plain spokenness is absolutely something that speaks to my heart, and I'm exactly like what Dobroshka. I was about ready to call you Maggie. What Dobroshka? I'm working on your name, Dobroshka. How does that sound? I'm working on it. Dobroshka. Oh shit. Oh, this is good. But I agree. Like, just be like, yo, call me on my bullshit when I say that. Dumb shit comes out of my mouth. You watch me every week. Dumb shit comes out of my mouth. And I like how Helga's just sitting there like, I'll just jump in anytime.
Would you like to answer, Helga? Would you like to be a part of this conversation? Actually,
so I actually have an odd answer to this. My answer is generosity, because I think generosity is actually one of the virtues that outlays kindness and honesty and everything else. And so that I think that we must come at things. So generosity to me almost equates to kindness. And so when we are brutally honest, we also must be kind with our words. When we are giving feedback, we also must be generous and kind with our words. Because one of the things that we revert to is, oh, I'm just too blunt, and so thus you can't deal with me. And I think that's actually a bullshit excuse in the world.
You're right about that.
I'm generous in my honesty with you. I must know how you will hear my words, because I cannot hold you to the standard of how I hear words, because all of us hear each other through our scars and experiences. And so unless I give that generosity of understanding that that is a real thing, I can be as blunt and as honest with you as I feel fit, but it still may hurt you. And that's not what I'm intending. And so I must be generous with my words, and I must be generous with my honesty, so that we can be on the same page, we can be heard, we can be equals. Otherwise, all we are is being blunt assholes to each other, and we will go nowhere.
I need to take Helga lessons. No, really. I mean, what you just said, I'm fucking terrible at.
It took me many years to figure it out, because I am a...
I have a really thick skin, and I don't realize other people don't.
It's some of the things that many of us forget is we all want to be the heroes in the situation. We all want to be that perfect thing, that perfect princess, that perfect knight, that perfect hero. And if we actually step back and understand that we are imperfect in everything that we do, we give space for there to be fault. And so when we are honest with somebody, when we are giving them feedback, if we understand that that feedback may come with a slight fault, when they push back, we will give them space, and we can actually hear what they have to say. And we can hear that maybe we didn't actually come across as the way we meant to. Because all of us, like, I don't believe in rose-colored glasses. I believe in scratched glasses. I believe in the scars that we carry. I believe in the horror stories we've all experienced, because life is not perfect and life is not nice. And so all of us have learned to filter everything through that. We've learned that, you know, like, there's people that shy away from guys because they've had bad experiences. There's people that shy away from girls because they've had bad experiences. And so if we can give them the benefit of that, if we give them that space and that motion, then when we give them our blunt and honest feedback and they react poorly, well, maybe then we can give them the space to have that poor reaction. We can hear it, and then we can go back into a conversation versus it turning into an argument. And so I love blunt honesty. I love those really frank, hard conversations. But unless a person is engaging at that level, I must remember my kindness and my generosity to give them space so we can work to that level.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's my weird soapbox.
It's
That's
not
not
weird.
really a soapbox. That's not weird either.
I'm just like, why couldn't I be so wise at her age? Like, why?
Well, you know, life is a spectrum, right? We are all, and I say this about like everything from, you know, people on the peerage path to people just in life in general. We're all on this weird path at different stages. And some of us get to the, you know, one signpost or a light post that is kind of a little enlightening period, you know, sooner than others. And none of us are wrong. None of us are bad.
I think
maybe some of us.
For me personally, and I know this is the case for a lot of other people, but empathy is like empathy is a project for me. It's something that I have to decode. I don't in some ways I have it to a ridiculous degree, whereas we can talk and I can kind of relate to you on your deep emotions and help you figure out what we're going through or whatever. But empathy in sort of social situations with people I don't know, in quick social exchanges, it's almost impossible for me to decipher that language. I don't get it. I can analyze people's kind of emotions, but I can't like identify it in the moment, kind of.
I have the same kind of problem. I'm getting the sense that you and I are kind of the same mental hardwiring, where in the moment there's a lot of factors, a lot of So I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and there's a lot of ADHD. Right?
I don't know.
When we were kids, ADD. I was not diagnosed until I was 36. But I'm a textbook kind of like, you know, the people with the XX chromosome manifestation of it, where I cannot sit in a situation in real time and really kind of absorb all of the things that are happening all at once. I have to walk away from that situation and then internalize it and analyze it, and then I'll process it, and then I get kind of what happened. In the moment, it fucks me up every time where I can be in a party situation with multiple people around and quips are flying and everybody's having a good time, and then I will quip something and it falls flat, but everybody recovers and they just go on. And then I find out like a year later that what I said was massively offensive to somebody, and I did not realize that.
Like,
and
oh, ouch.
I offend people all the time. Like, that's
so-
one of the things is like on the show, I'm allowed to have these moments of like, I have thought about this question and now I'm going to drop these deep answers and I'm going to sound slightly like I know shit or anything else like that. Like,
Guru Araya, we call it.
I fucking offend people all the time. I tripped over my dick 2 days ago, and it's a fake dick, so it's really big. Like, it's not like I was born with this average sized dick, so when I trip, it's kind of like, oh, my bad. No, they're all fake. I get to buy whatever size I want, you know, like the American Challenge, like, fucking yeah.
No, it's literally like, dragging on the floor behind her.
Yeah,
it is a trick.
If I'm going to put that on, I want it to hit the floor and have that person just be like, motherfucker, I didn't know what I was in for. So when I trip on it, man, I trip on it hard.
That crew is killing me.
It's like a 3-legged race with myself. So,
Yeah.
I'm not some guru. I don't know fucking shit. Just remember, I fuck up as hard as I have weird mic drop moments. So we're just going to go from there.
I've been witness to a lot of that. And where she actually, now she's smart. She runs it past a couple of people.
Yeah, here. I need you to edit this before I post it because I'm really angry right now.
Sessions where like I'll just be like having my morning coffee and I'm doing my work and I'll get this text message. Can I run something past you? Oh yeah. She's smart. She's figured out like you gotta run shit past. My problem is that I am very spur of the moment and I'll be like pew, 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 and then one of those pews happens to be a really like hurtful thing. Somebody's like yeah. So my practice, what I try to be practicing more is to be more present in the moment and to, when I feel like saying a thing, shut the fuck up. Okay, so let's go to the next question.
I would like it known, I'm just going to say it on this. Yes, like Chris Evans girthy.
That was a really good angle. I'm just saying. Anyway.
That was beautiful. That was motherfucking beautiful.
I like how he recovered from it. It was just like, so what's been going on, guys?
No, his recovery from it was like, now that I have your attention, go vote.
Exactly. Yeah, and now that first of all, he was like, I was offline for a couple of days. Anybody know what happened? And then the next thing he was like, now that I have your attention, go vote. Like, fuck yeah, go vote.
So Sassy, I would like to note the next question is yours.
Yes. All right, so this also is from Amy. What is your favorite Viking game? Period or non-period?
Hold on.
You can also have created this.
There's a lot of good ones. Most of the ones that are really good you can't do in the United States. Let's see.
Breaks. We're not putting it that you have to be able to do this in the United States.
No. That wasn't part of the question. So I would have to say that it's a toss-up between two. Probably my first favorite is Dance of the Flaming Assholes. It's so good.
Okay, so is there a YouTube video of this we can post to the show?
For sure. Just look it up. Viking game, Dance of the Flaming Assholes. You'll probably find it. Although a lot of us got really smart a while ago and realized that all the fun ends when people bring their cell phones to nighttime fun. And so we stopped allowing that. So maybe there's video and maybe not. I don't know. But for sure there is from Volin because there's a lot of funny stories from Volin. And they don't care who videos it. But so Dance of the Flaming Assholes is that you it's really hard to keep a straight face because Scott just came in and started giggling immediately. So you get a bunch of guys What's that?
Oh, we're having some background discussion right now. Just keep talking, Maggie.
Okay, so you get some unsuspecting guys together and you ask them if you want to play this game, Dance with the Flaming Assholes. It helps if they're European because they fucking take all their clothes off. If they're American, they just like hike up their tunic and drop their trousers. But you get some toilet paper, and this is of course a modern Viking game that, you know, basically we came up with based on some scrolls, which we just figured out how we could do it, right? It's from Teleglima. If you know that like Viking kind of like wrestling group that tries to like reconstruct wrestling from scrolls and games from scrolls. Anyway, so you get a bunch of unsuspecting, hopefully guys, and you line them up and they drop trow. And a beautiful woman, hopefully, because it's more embarrassing for them, takes like strips of toilet paper, which are all the same length, and they tuck it in between the guy's cheeks, and they have to hold it there. I mean, the best part is if like you can like really just like get it in the star, and everybody gets the same length of TP. And then this beautiful woman, this like Valkyrie of a fucking Norwegian goddess with like gorgeous blonde hair and like, you know, hopefully loads of cleavage, gathers up their, you know, fucking stuff. And oh, in the meantime, somebody else gives everybody a beer and they all have like the same size beer. And the name of the game is whoever drinks the beer down first wins. And you have to drink the beer down before your ass sets on fire. So she gathers up all the toilet paper wicks and she lights them all at the same time and then lets go. And then the toilet paper is like up to their asses. If you're really experienced, you know that you have to like run around in a lot of little circles to get away from the fucking wick so that it's like flowing out behind you somewhere and slowly burning toward your ass. But if you're silly and an American tourist that begged to be a part of the Viking game after hours plan, then nobody told you the best way to go about it. And you just stand still drinking your beer. And the fucking toilet paper burns straight up as fast as it can, and your entire ass beard fucking ignites and blows up like an A-Team video, and you're freaking out, and you totally lose, by the way. Yeah, anyway. So, the person who gets their beard down before their ass beard gets on fire, that's the winner, essentially.
I'm getting these quality text messages from my boyfriend upstairs, and this is fabulous.
I'm pretty sure Thorfinn's played it.
Yeah, he's like, this is why I hang out with these guys. He also said anal tug of war.
I am not explaining that one in the internet. Not doing it. That's for a campfire.
Yeah, you gotta show up to events to get the real quality content.
Okay, so the next favorite Viking game is also really fun. Also, the last time I saw it, when it was really funny, involved a poor American tourist that showed up on the scene late in the day and was like, "Can I please stay after hours? I think this is really neat." And they were like, "Sure. Want to play a game?"
That's like a noob at a Ren fair. That's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Really bad. It was bad. Poor guy. I was like, so this is a special game also of tug of war where you take a rope and it's like a thin, you know, but some kind of hand spun hemp, like delicious rope, like in, you know, Europe. So it's super, super strong, but really thin and cutting and horrible. And each person ties it around their fucking junk. Like, so you've got like the Franken beans, right? And you tie it around the top part around everybody. I don't know how to explain this in a period fashion.
This is rad. I am.
So you've got like a pair of Franken beans with ropes around them, and everybody.
Helga's all.
It's really funny. It's really funny, and then the guys are on their hands and knees and they crawl away from each other, and whoever like gives. It's like Uncle. Like whoever gives up first loses.
10 out of 10 would watch.
The first and last time I saw that game, the Norwegian opponent actually had, you know, that like disorder where you can't identify or feel pain. You know what I'm talking about? There's like some kind of genetic disorder where so he had that. Poor American D&D player did not have that. It was a bloodbath. It was horrible. It was really funny though.
Oh my goodness. I think this is the best weird topic that has ever come up on this show. And my kink is showing hard.
I mean, I've got like a long list of really fun games. It's really, it's fun.
I was about to say 10 out of 10 can say that if you can hang out with Maggie once she closes a booth, fucking do it. Do not blindly agree to anything that comes out of her mouth. Watch two other idiots that agree to do it.
To be fair, 9 times out of 10 by 4 p.m. I'm completely schnockered.
Also, if Scott has a skillet and 5 pounds of bacon, you just say yes, you go with it.
Watch out for Scott. It's bacon time.
Okay, Scott and bacon time. I have never had nuclear hot bacon thrown at me at such a velocity before, but I can tell you it was fucking worth it.
So, whose answer is it next?
I believe so. Oh, you asked the question, so it's my answer next.
Yeah, so Helga, while you answer this, I'm going to take a brief sojourn to the room of requirement, and I'll be right back. Especially since we're at the 2.5 hour mark, so fuck it.
I was going to say, is anyone even still watching, or is it just us guys?
We have over 100 people watching.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
I love you guys.
This show has broken records, just so y'all know.
I'm just saying, like, at the beginning of tonight, I literally wanted to put my head under the covers and say it's canceled. And I'm really happy that everyone's sticking with us because I was super depressed when we started this.
I
was really, really, really sad that Ruth died. I will say I was like super sad and ready to like throw in the towel for today.
I believe all 3 of us were, and all three of us somehow managed to rally each other, and so I'm really happy we did. And I want
whoever was the person like on the comments that like jumped in and said like, oh my God, I really need this tonight. Like, you're the person that made me fucking get Garb on and come to the fucking laptop. I couldn't do it. But.
Okay, so. I'm gonna find that video.
Dance of the Flaming Assholes is a fucking amazing game. Everyone should try it, and just like make sure if your garb is synthetic, take it right off. Like just all the way off.
Okay, so one,
I'm never going to try that game. You might be able to hike it up, but
I'm never going to try that game. But I will watch that game.
We should do a fucking chick version, like a totally closed like chick version. That would be fun. I've always kind of wanted to play that game because I feel like I'd be really good at it. I know all the like physics of it, you gotta like really, and the hard part is like you gotta like so big. You gotta like, I'm standing on my couch right now. Oh look, it's yoga pants, by the way, not real fucking Slav pants. So you're like gotta like run around in a little circle really fast, but it's got to be a really small circle because if you run really like long stride, the TP falls right out of your ass. You're disqualified immediately. So you got to make like a really quick little tiny step circle.
Okay, so you need a badonkadonk. Like, so I'm getting for this game. You need a badonkadonk, a quick shuffle circle, and the ability to clench your ass cheek so you have the most toilet paper at the end.
Yes. I'm pretty sure the Lady of the Lake totally has this game.
I'm pretty sure the Lady of the Lake does have this game, but like, so also all girls, before you get into this game, just go get waxed, so there's no underbush to catch fire.
Legit.
I feel like most chicks are like clever enough to not let it get to that point, but yes, I mean,
I don't know. Some of us are
I can't
stubborn
promise
enough,
you I will get waxed because
us are
I
just
would
fucking
rather
lazy.
run faster and fucking get on fire than get waxed. But you know, that's
Getting
me.
waxed is not that bad. Like, no joke. It's like, it's not terrible.
I got waxed once. Her name was Olga.
Yeah.
She had a Russian accent.
Mine
Okay.
too.
So we're
I
gonna
was bleeding. There were bruises. They last for forever.
okay. We're gonna devolve 100% on this show because we're at 2.5 hours. I'm
2.5
drunk.
hours. That's allowed, right?
My first waxing
next?
experience. The chick had me answer the phone while she was waxing me.
Wow, that's. Were you in a reputable waxing establishment?
Apparently not. Oh no,
Dude.
we're still on the show. I was like, Hans came over. Was like, "Are you still on the show?" Yep.
Okay, so can I give my answer to this question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Helga, did you give yours? Well, I was off using the Wiz
Oh no, we
palettes.
totally we devolved right back into toilet paper in the butthole.
God.
And waxing.
Okay, 'cause my favorite game was one that Dobroshka taught me. Bum darts.
Taught to me by a chick from fucking Glen Aubin.
Because
I was like,
It
I
was-
just totally fucked up my chin scrape.
yeah, you did. This was in Gulf War. Oh no, Great Western War. This last Great Western War, and we had a little party at Styrbjorn's, and Dobroshka's like, "Hey guys, I got the best idea ever. Here's this really cool game. You gotta
So
stick
this
a
is the game you
coin."
pull out when you're super bored and you're like, oh God, why won't they stop fucking pontificating? You know, and then
Nobody-
you're like, hey, I have an idea.
Yeah, and this is kind of that exact scenario because the conversation, the scenario that it was in, was kind of somber. And so Dobroshka's like, I got a great idea. Let's find a cup and a coin, and we're gonna play bum darts. And I'm like, what's bum darts? This is weird. I don't think I know what this game is. And she's like, she hikes up her tunic, and she's got these linen undies on, right? And she takes a coin, which I think glowed in the dark. I think it was a glow in the dark coin. So we actually had like randomly
It
had
was a
this weird
fucking toonie. It was a fucking magical.
It was a Canadian
Somebody
toonie.
gifted us like a Canadian toonie when they had like the holographic insert in the middle.
And it kind of glows in the dark. So it's easy to find in the dark. That's as dark by this point.
Until
And
you
she's
lose
like,
it.
this is how you play it. And she puts it between her cheeks, and there's a mug. You know, we bring out a mug. She's just like aiming and aiming and aiming and just unclenches and boop, you know, like right in the mug. Over and over and over, man. She slayed at this game. It was
I'm
great.
sorry.
Yeah.
Pure
This
dumb
may have been the best question ever
Pure
answered on
drunken
the show.
dumb luck.
Oh god, no! You got it like 5 or 6 times in a row. Like everyone else was trying to do it, and like, you know, I think Thorfinn got like the next.
I was gonna say Thorfinn gave you a run for my money. I mean, those
Well, no,
people still had it going on.
Pretty great. I have to admit, it was one of the silliest and funnest dumb ass late night games I've ever played.
The person who taught me that game was Duchess Joan from Glen Aubin, and we were so Scott and I decided like, oh my God, we're finally in the States. We can just like go to a random like small event in our neighborhood and just have fun and do nothing. So we go to like some crown tournament in Meridies that's like right over the mountain from us. And for whatever reason, Joan and James the Holy showed up as royalty at that time. And so it was like really beautiful weather, everything's great, and then suddenly it's like super dark skies, rainy, whatever, but we had like our Viking tent set up and they were visiting royalty, so they were like, well, we don't, like, everybody's just like, and it's like a ghost town. Everybody went to their cabins or their tents or whatever, and there's like nothing. And like all of us strangers from out of town are like, so now what? So they all came to our tent because we were like literally one of the only tents that was actually up because it was a cabin kind of, place. And we had like the Viking tent like set up where the front was like lifted up. And we're just like sitting under there drinking, of course, telling ridiculous and stupid drunk stories. And then Joni gets up and she's like, well, I learned this game, and I'm pretty sure she learned it because she had just gone up to not Antir, Avakal. Avakal had just become a kingdom, and she had gone up there for their investiture, and she learned this fucking game up in Canada and brought it back down. And so she fucking shows us the game. And this is the magical thing about this goddamn game, is that I don't care what the fuck is going on. If you show this game to someone, your ass is going to stick the fucking coin right in the jar the first time. And everyone's going to go like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then nobody's ass is ever going to drop the coin in the jar again. But no one is going to ever forget the first time your ass stuck the coin in the jar. It's brilliant. It's a magical game.
It's a great game. It's a great game. And it takes skill, and it takes
it's amazing.
But it's not because
me and Joni did it the first time, and we were in our shifts. Like we took our outer wool off and dropped it on the floor. And that was like a big show altogether in the first place. And then we're like in our fucking underwear and try to like control a coin between your fucking ass cheeks while then you like release your booty like this, and then like try to like contain your dress so it doesn't impede the coin from rolling down the dress and going wherever. And you got to aim it in the damn jar. We looked like the heroes because like everybody else, like all the boys were like, oh, they've got these like poofy, like I don't know what pants, and their pants are just completely in the way, and the coin's just like it's a fucking pinball machine, it's like everywhere. And me and Jonah are like, we got these like little dresses on, we're just like boop like right. And we are wasted. We have no idea how we did this. It's like magic. No, but
that's ridiculous.
That game is that it just makes sure that it works the first time. Enough to get you going, and then everybody plays it. And it doesn't matter how many times you get it in, it's still fun. Because everyone thinks that eventually you could get it in because those two girls got it in the beginning.
I mean, you had everybody convinced that they could totally do this, and it was super easy, and they learned really quickly. It takes some real fucking skill.
There is no reason that it happens, but I shit you not, it doesn't matter who tries it. The first person always gets it in, and then you spend the next 2.5 hours. Everyone tries to get it in, and nobody.
It was genius. It was brilliant.
Okay, so I would like to note that I muted my mic. I like turned down my mic at one point because I have been laughing so hard that my rib cage hurts. I really, really hope that our audience has also enjoyed this fucking shit show of an NC-17 show that has been one of the best moments of this entire show series. This has been amazing.
So, we can judge by the fact that we have 117 people watching right now, and I'm going to say most shows don't really break like 80, if that, while it's on, it's live streaming.
I'm really happy to share this moment with you guys because this is the most social I've been in like 6 months.
I'm dying right now. Also, by the way, I would like to note that this is proving that this eyeliner is amazing. It's not running, and I have been crying because I've been laughing so hard.
I will also say, if you're watching this, 118 people are now watching now, and we only have 67 likes.
Motherfuckers.
Huh. So I will just tell you, I just picked up the empty cup that I showed off a little while to try to drink out of. I was like, oh.
It's empty. I know mine's getting low, but I'm on rations right now. So, shall we go to the last question?
I can't believe we have any questions left. I can't believe we have a techer left. Why is the techer flipped us off and gone their separate ways?
We've got like 300 questions. I mean, we could ask more. But...
We're at the last question, which is one of my favorite questions. And I see this like almost every show. Like we get. I wanted to just say, sorry, this is going to be a total like rabbit trail. Please forgive me. There's a lot of vodka involved with tonight. My husband just reminded me in his deep, I should be on radio voice, that it was gin, not vodka. And so I actually just want to shout out to everybody that keeps submitting questions. You're the reason why we get to continue going. Each episode, we realize that there's only about 10 questions that we select per viewer. But because you guys keep sending us in questions, we have we've got a huge backlog that we can go pull from so we can build something towards our guest. And so I just want to say thank you so much to our viewers for continuing to do this. Even though that some weeks your questions may not be chosen, they may show up in later shows, and you're the reason why we keep doing this. So because you continue to give us these questions and your time, you're giving us content. And so I just want to say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for helping this show build and become what it is. So,
exactly.
With that,
the
final question of the evening.
Dun, dun, dun. No. I mean, yes.
I mean, I'm basically a puddle at the moment, so God knows what I'll say next.
Everybody should tune into the after show. So, from Eric of the Two Ravens, what is your favorite myth or legend? And why?
I got this one.
I'm like, you did homework.
Mr. Nancy from the fucking American Gods. Anansi. That fucking West African motherfucker.
I did not love you so hard, and I love you a little bit more now.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, I already loved you really hard. Now I love you a little bit more, and I really didn't need that to happen, because now I'll just blindly stab a fool for you.
Yes!
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm going for. So, Mr. fucking Nancy. Anansi.
Anansi, yes.
This West African god of, it's like basically the West African god, like version of Loki, but just like the god of, like, yes, okay, he's a trickster, but he's also just sort of like that thing that slaps you on the fucking side of the neck when you're being a douche, or the, like, make you turn yourself around when you miss something totally, or just that, like, that other, not a Jiminy Cricket, but that, like, real portion of yourself that just, like, fucking stop listening to other things and just, like, psh, reality, like that, like, oh, I love that guy, Nancy. And I love that Neil Gaiman came up with, like of all the, if you're gonna appropriate and change a name of something, that you're gonna take Anansi and, like, call it Mr. Nancy. It's, like, so poignant in so many ways, because when you look at gods like that are all sort of knowing, or all like they've already been through all the stuff, they've got all the fucking cliff notes. They fucking cross-dress. They don't give a shit. Like, Odin cross-dressed all the time. He was Mr. fucking cross-dresser. Like, change, like, gender bending is a thing that before Christianity was not frowned upon. You know, if you want to, like, gain a interesting perspective. And anyway, so I thought that was really intriguing of Gaiman to give him a name like Mr. Nancy, because as we know, Nancy is, like, kind of like a funny or not so funny slur for effeminate men. And I think that if anything, Anansi is not effeminate, but is not opposed to it either, because that's where the power lays.
When I heard that the actor who plays Mr. Nancy had been, I don't know, parted ways with the show early on, I kind of lost my enthusiasm for it, because
I've never seen the show. I've only read the book.
Oh, the show is amazing. First season, second season's okay. I only watched a few episodes of the first or second season where I was kind of like, I could see it was kind of couldn't maintain its theme.
Yeah.
But the book is brilliant, and the actor and whose name it completely escapes me, and I'm sure somebody will pop in and tell me. But a fantastic Orlando Jones. Orlando Jones is Mr. Nancy, and he is perfect in that role. And there was some foo that happened, and he ended up leaving and not coming back. And at that point, I was like, "Fuck it, not interested anymore." Because yes,
Sure.
Helga.
My turn to shoot off screen. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. It was one of those things where I was just basically like the one actor that I think is really the glue of this show, and he's actually a very principal character in the book. And you're gonna like be fuckery with the whole like actor, just whatever. Like it killed my enthusiasm for it completely. It's a great show.
I agree with the idea of watching the show, but I love the book so much, and I loved Anansi Boys, and I just I really identified with a lot of what was going on in that book, and I just couldn't.
My mother,
it's just
my mother actually, when Anansi Boys came out millions of years ago, however long ago that was, 20 plus. My mom was like, I just read this really great book called Anansi Boys, and you would totally like it. And I'm like, shut up, Mom, you don't know.
Wow.
But so I just remember my mother really loving Anansi Boys, and it's such a great novel, and she's absolutely right. It's, Gaiman is great. And he has a great way of taking these overarching themes, mythological themes and humanity themes, and kind of synthesizing them into really interesting characters and talking about them and exploring the concepts behind them. And I think, honestly, you can't go wrong. If you want to get into any sort of like mythology, I think Gaiman actually does a really good job kind of, making that stuff relevant to a modern audience.
Accessible to everybody. I mean, I think that
really what myths are and should be.
I took a lot of alternative, I don't know how you want to call it, but like alternative social structure classes and different religion classes, because I went to art school, and our academics were very wide and broad. But I still never really reached like a kind of desire to delve deeper into other cultures' myths as I did when I read American Gods. Once I read that book, I suddenly started to like really be interested and get deeper, because I understood that he was sort of dumbing things down and making it palatable for us dumb Americans. I got that
myth
right away.
But that is what myths are supposed to be. Myths do that. We need to. They are not meant to be like codified in the old. Yeah, they're meant to be layperson stories, and so they change
always. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, Mariah.
Okay, so besides American, like, if you want to figure out how I function, American Gods is how I see almost all of the gods working. I think that humans are way more powerful than we actually think that we are, and we create the gods through our own faith, which I think is the reason why faith is one of the most powerful virtues out there, is that when applied to the gods, we create them. But one of my favorite myths and legends is actually of Anubis weighing the heart against the feather.
Yes!
And the reason for this is because a lot of modern takes say that we must be sin-free. We must be something that is greater. We must strive for what is not possible to be accepted into heaven, or be accepted as somebody that is good. The reason why I love that myth, and I love that legend, and I love the idea of Anubis weighing the heart against the feather, is actually from Neil Gaiman, where they have a conversation of Anubis weighing the heart against the feather, and Anubis being like, occasionally I put my thumb on the scale. Is that we must remember that we will all sin all cause fault, and we will do damage. But if the good outweighs the bad, if in the end, when those scales are measured, if our heart is lighter than the feather, and it's not a weight of your heart, it's not like cutting your heart out of your chest and weighing it against the feather. It is, were you virtuous in the eyes of what you were doing? That is what gains you access to the next life, reincarnation, heaven, no matter what. Because Anubis doesn't actually really care what religion you are. He is saying, do you get to go to the next phase or do you go backwards? And so it almost applies across all religions. There's almost this idea of Anubis weighing the heart against the feather is found in many, many religions. The gates of heaven, deciding if you are going to go up in your reincarnation or down in your reincarnation. And so I love that legend because it gives you scope. It gives you accountability, and it gives you a way to re-earn your way to a better path than a darker one. So, my favorite legend, also totally getting that tattooed. So,
Well, that about wraps this evening up. This evening of extravaganza.
I was about to say, we've gone really long on this show.
You know what? I think every single bit of it is fucking delightful. So you know what? Suck it.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the show, and we'll go to, is there anything that any of you guys would like to put at the end of the show? We're going to do shout outs for other shows in a moment, but this is kind of like the wrap up moment.
I mean, I will say that I really appreciate the tech crew's like hilarious comments in the background. However, if I ever had like an inappropriate facial expression during someone else's pontificating about something super serious, it was because the tech crew was saying something hella funny that nobody else could see, and I can't control my face. So
it's comedy gold in the background.
I'm not really that irreverent. I mean, I'm totally irreverent, but actually, like, they were really, really cracking me up most of the night.
And also, I guess on that note, like anytime you see my like eyes slide off to the right, or I guess left if you're looking at me on the mirror image thing. Yeah, it's because I'm answering stuff in the chat. It's not because I'm not like super excited about what's happening.
I totally can't see the chat. I wish I could see the chat.
But I would just love to say, Dobroshka, I'm working on your name, making it sound like it comes from old country. It is delightful. I am so glad you agreed to come on. You were one of our shortlist people for a long time, and I'm super happy that you decided to.
I'm super chuffed that you guys even wanted me on. I mean, and that anybody wanted to watch us bullshit on TV. So I think that's amazing.
Nobody else in for 3 hours so far.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's wonderful, and thank you so much for coming. And also thank you to Scott, who's also FCA name I've already forgotten again. But you know what? I'll learn it one day.
Farwolf. Just ask Thorfinn. He knows.
Farwolf. He never told me his name was Farwolf. He's always it's Scott. It's Scott. I'm like, okay, Scott.
It's been really hard to get away from Scott, but I mean, come on. I've been Maggie the Potter for 20 fucking years in the SCA. I just magicked up Dobroshka in the last like few months because. Honestly, I've been looking for a different SCA name for a really long time, like at least 15 years. And I finally, because of COVID, because Scott and I had time to basically, because we weren't allowed in our building where my studio is for about 2 months. We were at home for the longest time we've ever been at home for. And the entire time we've been together. I mean, we've never gone this many months without traveling and, running around with our asses on fire. So it's been kind of amazing because we've dipped back into like old research and stuff that we, kind of laid on the table for a while. And one of those things was, my SCA name. And I was like, I really have been wanting to change my name forever. And like, let's keep getting into this. And so we were searching and we were looking like we were on a totally different subject, looking through, we were researching something about, I can't remember, we were researching like phrases about love and like runic phrases of like love and aspirations or something like that. We were like looking into, and we came across this quote from like on a piece of birch bark from this person, Dobroshka, and I was like, ooh, that. He was like, what do you think of this? And I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. Because let's face it, I mean, in the 8th, 9th, 10th century, women's names that are recorded are basically women's names made out of men's names, and they sound hella butch. I mean, like really butch. And so everything I've ever found has never really matched up to my persona at all. And then finally, like this one name just like, I don't know, it just like clicked. And it's for sure not, it's not Finn Ugrian. It doesn't have to do with really what I study and what I'm into, but it is a Slavic Russian name from the 10th century. And anyway, so I'm starting to try to like, I'm trying to research and more or less document it enough to actually get it passed. And along with the last name, which is really hard because, you know, before the 12th century, really, if you weren't a queen or a princess, you didn't actually get a patronymic or a last name. It just didn't, nobody gave a shit, you know, because you're a chick. So it's really hard to find or deal with or understand names for, you know, pre 13th century. So we just sort of made something up, actually. Let's see if it passes.
All right, so with that, we're going to go to other show plugs. So, Dobroshka, do you have a show that you wish to plug?
Me? No. I don't watch any show.
Out to like an informational
I watch
source.
this show.
It's our show. She plugs our show.
I'm plugging the show.
I love you so hard.
Thank you.
So, Julia, do you have one you wish to shout out to?
Yeah, I would love to just, first of all, say that I love the drunk texts that I get from Dobroshka. And I like saying that name a lot. It's really fun. I like getting the drunk text during the show, like, oh my God! And so it's legit. So actually, one of the things that I discovered, well, I shouldn't say I discovered, my lovely boyfriend. Okay, so Carius was making a whole thing, a face in the background. Lovely boyfriend Thorfinn, my boyfriend Thorfinn, y'all fucking drink, all right? Okay. He discovered on this like weird YouTube rabbit hole this now I've lost it. This Polish group called Marobud, Narobud, and they don't do anything spoken, but they do these like demonstrations of like how to cook in the Viking age, and it's all, you know, just ambient noise. So it's actually really cool from like an ASMR kind of standpoint if you're into that, because it's crunching snow and chopping, you know, vegetables and all this lovely stuff, but they go kind of step by step, and you don't need to like know a language or anything to see it. But they were really cool, and I think that I would, you know, they've inspired us. They've actually really fired us up, especially him, about cooking. So doing more Norse cooking, and look forward to that. Maybe at some point we'll do a little video of a Norse dish based on that.
I'm pretty sure that Marobud is either Czech or Slovenian, but not Polish.
I thought it was Polish. I thought it was
They're
PL.
definitely not Polish.
Okay, maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought their website.
We've been in contact with them for a number of years, and they were at the Viking Way, and I'm pretty sure they're either Czech or they're Slovenian. But
I'm gonna double check that, because I was like, we couldn't really pinpoint it, but then we also were like, they had a
They're also, I will say, they're also incredibly nice people, and very, very, very receptive to communication. So if you contact them,
bad. Can I correct? I can correct myself. You're absolutely right. They are Czech. So yes, I'm sorry. They are Czech. For some reason, I thought their URL ended with a PL, but no, it ends with a CZ. They are Czech. Massive apologies.
It's fine. They're actually super duper nice guys. And I will say, if any SCA people are super interested in cooking, wood turning, like any of the super, super basic woodcraft skills or forest craft skills, they are a great resource. They are super nice and really receptive to questions, and really, really great people. Really excited about spreading their knowledge and sharing everything. So Marobud is definitely a channel to watch.
So they do have a delightful YouTube channel. It's Maurud, Maorud on YouTube. So definitely check them out. They got us all fired up about all sorts of wonderful
and don't be afraid to contact them because they're super nice.
We'll reach out. We'll totally reach out. Yeah.
Also, we will make sure that their link is posted later. So my shout out, I don't really actually have a shout out tonight, because I had one and then it went out of my head because there's drinks and I was laughing so hard that I've cried. And so mine's a very general one. I just actually want to thank the viewers of all these shows. And so my shout out is to those watching the content and giving us time, also giving other people's content time. You're the reason why this content is created. And so I will encourage you to like, share, and follow as many channels as you are involved in, because that continues the cycle. We as hosts, so Sassy and myself show up as hosts every week because you guys are here. I know that the Coach's Corner shows up because you guys are there. Same with the Murder of Dukes or the Sisters Energy, the Branch of Laurels. There's so many amazing shows out there that only exist because you guys show up. And that means a lot to all of us. And so my shout out is actually to the viewers. It's to the reason why the content is created is because our viewers show up. You're the reason why we exist. And so I just want to say thank you very much. And with that, I'll wrap up the show and say like, share, and follow. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube. We also have a Discord channel now, so everybody can chat with us throughout the week. We're pretty active on there too. We thought that we would be like on there occasionally. Nope, we're on there all the time, sassing our viewers. So all those contents are...
I also just wanted to put here, are you going to plug the merch?
Oh, so our merch, yes.
Merch.
So, by the way, Between Two Peers now has merch on Redbubble. You can find us at Between, the number 2, Peers, P-E-R-R-S, or P-E...
E-R-S.
P-E-E-E, no.
Cheers. And we have merch that is been basically the viewers have content driven the merch. Everything goes back to reinvesting in the show so we can have better bandwidth. We can take care of cameras. We can make sure that our tech crew, who has invested a lot into this show, is covered. Also, we are delighted to see our viewers post photos of them in the Spite Sprinkle shirts. I will tell you that makes my day. But so if you want to...
Oh, no, go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought, but I have an additional thought about the merch.
Oh, so I would like to say that if you would like to support the show, we are now merch driven, and that allows us to spend money on our tech crew so they can be supported because they support us.
We are also working on, and by we, I mean me, I am trying to source plus-sized print on demand right now, and I have a very good lead on that. Currently, Redbubble only has a limited size of straight-sized ranges, and so we're trying really hard to take care of our plus-size viewers as well. And so please just be patient with us, and hopefully in like a week or two we will have something with some more options size range wise, and because size representation fucking matters. Lord knows I worked in fashion design for a number of fucking years, and it is a whole thing. So please, though, right now we are just on Redbubble, but we're looking to expand and make more size options for the clothing available. But we also have non-clothing items as well. So
yes. And also on Discord, we have all of our bonus merch. We have all of our like weird things that we do between the shows. So follow us, like us, check out the Discord. We chat, we have fun, we go from there. And so with that, I just want to say thank you so much for everything tonight. You guys have been amazing. This has been our first 3-hour show. Dobroshka, thank you for being an amazing next week, I
really appreciate the tech group for not fucking walking out.
Oh, for real. So next week we have 2 shows. On Wednesday we have us Tulia and I between two queens. So the Queen of Aidenvelt and the Queen of the West will be peppering us with questions that we have no idea about.
They are gonna get back at us.
Yeah, both of them have been guests on the show. And then Friday, our guest is the Dirty Duchess. Please fill in for those shows because it's going to be fun. So with that,
Wow.
thank you all and have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.